Welcome in, everyone. Welcome on in. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you are all enjoying your wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for all of you. For those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as It's Guest Gaming, and this is the King of Canada here with the King's Clash.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the King's Clash. I cannot wait for some fantastic action today. The tournament has been off to a little bit of a rocky start. No one gets to see that but us. But we've got buys, we've got surprises, we've got cash prizes, and we've got a season pass giveaway. So we've got a lot going on today, Guest.
Yeah, there's a lot to celebrate here in the kingdom, and we appreciate you taking your time out of your day to hang out with us as we go into some Marvel Snap competitive tournament play here on King of Canada JJ. Almost said .gg. I'm like, no, that's a website. But King of Canada JJ. Make sure you hit that follow, like, and subscribe button if you want to be a part of the future King Clashes, because this is the second iteration. Who knows when the third may come, and maybe there's a couple of surprises along the way as we get ready for that too. So, with that said, we are getting ready right now here on the back end to be able to take a look at a couple of matches here for the King's Clash. But King, why don't you explain a little bit here about this tournament so that way people know exactly what's going on today?
So we have got a special surprise that I am going to announce later on in the stream. So be sure to stick with us because I have something very interesting for our competitors. Something that they might like, something they might not like. We will see. That is why it's a kingly surprise. But otherwise, it is a one fall to the finish. You get beat in your match, you are out. We have some people that have buys into the second round already. We have some people that might be getting buys into the fifth round, into the eighth round. I'm just kidding. Once the second round is set up, it will be fighting to a finish. So there is one, they go through three matches, not three matches, they go through rounds. If you've never played Marvel Snap before, you have to beat 10 cubes. That's how it works. You have to beat your opponent down by 10 cubes to secure yourself a victory. You can snap, which doubles your cubes, and then you get a better shot at winning if you're lucky. If you're not lucky and you snap, you could be going home with an 8-cube loss. So it is very interesting. It's lots of fun, and that's why we call it everyone's favorite game, Marvel Snap.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see, given especially some of the OTA changes that have had recently, how some different competitors might need to rechange exactly how they may have originally wanted to come into a tournament setting. But now with the emergence of several new cards that may end up being competitive, like, for example, Claw and Ultron, in my opinion, maybe we start seeing a couple of those today. What did you think about the announcement this week when it comes to the OTA, and do you think it's going to have an effect here on the Clash?
Well, I'm hoping we don't just see Hela and Destroy. That's my goal. I'm hoping we don't just see Hela and Destroy, because that is what is very popular in the meta right now, and that is what is massively known going on right now. So I'm hoping that we get to see some of these new cards. Leech, and down to a 4/2. That destroys Hela. That destroys Cannonball. That destroys so many different things when played on 4. So it is an interesting card. It's a world-hated card, and now he's even more accessible at a 4/2. But like you said, Onslaught with Claw, that's a 16-powered lane on the opposite side.
Yeah.
That's hard to beat. That's very hard to beat.
Yeah, it is an incredibly difficult card to beat right now, and I think that we do end up eventually seeing that kind of influence into the meta. We are already seeing some Patriot decks remake and emergence as well because of that synergy that actually happens to the very commonly affected on reveals that lose their ability that now get a Patriot buff, because Leech, who was such a villain for so long, is now back, but not necessarily in a villain context, more so in the context of a healthy mitigator of these 5-cost epic cards. We see Lady Deathstrike, we see Annihilus, we see Cannonball. All of these big cards that have major turn 5 on reveals are now going to be kind of put at bay potentially, just because this immediate change is very difficult to counteract from the on reveal side. And I think that's going to help bring back your worry when it comes to Hela, but from a competitive standpoint, I'm not quite sure if that's going to be enough necessarily. I think we do get some restrictions from Hela first and foremost in the competitive side, because we're already seeing that happen on ladder. But I wonder if this also has a counter effect where the ongoings all of a sudden become a huge issue because of the deceased on reveals that happen on turn 5, on turn 6. So your Cannonballs start to demune, your Helas start to demune, but your Tribunals, your Patriots, your Cerebros, those start to go up much, much higher, much heavier. So
yes, that's why you put in Rogue. That's why you put in Enchantress. You have to make sure you have those ongoing killer abilities as well. But it's hard to be able to snipe on turn 2 or turn 5 and turn 6. But if you have the ability to have Enchantress on turn 6 to take out their Patriot, or to take out their Blue Marvel, to take out those ongoing abilities, the Miss Marvel even. If you can get your Enchantress down and knock it out, then you have a better chance of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak.
Yeah. But it is a higher cost, so it's kind of difficult. I think Rogue starts to make an appearance for those reasons. Like, you remember it was very common for a while. You started seeing a lot of Rogues pop up into Loki decks, and Loki has been a meta killer for a long time and always had different ways to adapt from a competitive standpoint. So I'm curious if we see that reversion from a competitive side for some of these participants, that now they end up in this world of, wait a minute, carry the 4, add the 7. There's a lot of ongoings. It's time to put Rogue back into my deck, because we're also seeing a decrease in the big cards, right? So Hela starts to go away, so some of those big cards. Thanos obviously has already been put to bed. That starts to go away. I think we really need to keep an eye on the on-reveal side, because maybe Rogue makes a big enough impact to take away just 1 ability, or even Echo could end up being a game-changing card. Who knows? I mean, who do you think is going to be a potential sleeper card for this event?
Well, you said it right there. If you can Echo 1 lane, Rogue another lane, that's only 4 cost. You still have 2 more power to play with. So you could then throw down a Maximus for 6 power. There you go. You've got some power on the board if you can hit it properly. But yeah, Echo definitely is an ongoing killer. As long as you have priority, you have to make sure you have priority going into it. Otherwise, your Echo just falls on deaf ears. See what I did there?
I see what you did. I see what you did there. It's also interesting looking at it from the other aspect of it, because we also saw simultaneously with the OTA the change to Darkhawk. And I do want to acknowledge that, because it's an interesting perspective, because, you know, from a content creation community standpoint, you know, where a lot of us very often are in infinite gameplay, and a lot of the statistics that we like to look at from the broad scope of Marvel Snap is specifically in infinite gameplay, because there's no bots. And I'm curious, you know, from your perspective, do you see a lot of Darkhawk also regularly as well to have justified it losing a power?
No, I haven't seen a Darkhawk deck in ages, before the OTA or after the OTA. I haven't seen a Darkhawk in forever. Maybe 1 in a blue moon, and that would be an old Rocks and Hawks that they're trying to get with Devil Dino and get it out there. But you always know when Darkhawk is coming, right? You have the Korg on 1, and then you've got the Rock Slide on 3.
Right.
And then you're like, all right, well, we know that Darkhawk is inbound, because Absorbing Man to hit the Rock Slide on 4, and then 5 comes Darkhawk. It's very predictable, because you know the cards it needs to be put out there. and I don't see it. I don't see it played very often. I don't see it put out very often. I wish there was other cards that you could get to be put out there that would give cards into your deck instead of just Rock Slide and instead of just Korg, because then it would add to Darkhawk.
True.
But otherwise, there's nothing there to give Darkhawk power. You have what's her name? Widow. Black Widow will stop a card draw, but with everybody using Cable and Baron Zemo right now, you're emptying the deck, so Darkhawk isn't prevalent at all.
Very true. Very true. I think that we know that the developers are very commonly trying to keep up, if you will. They're trying to test and adjust as needed when it comes to certain metas, and they've gotten really good at testing cards before they come on out. But I feel like sometimes with OTAs specifically, that they've tested something that was happening a month ago and it was an issue, and then they make an adjustment to it. But then every now and then you see then a change like to Lady Deathstrike, who just got reverted into a non-reveal 5/7 style, who then is dropped down to a 5/6 because it was that impactful. I wonder if people are just in general going to actually adjust the style of gameplay because Lady Deathstrike is a better card than Annihilus, which I think is a pretty hot take. But I do think that it ends up being something that we do see happen in the very near future, that there is a reversion and a justified perspective on it, where Annihilus, yes, the risk is it could destroy it or it can send it over. Or it's a guarantee I'm just going to destroy it because now I'm going to put something else in there that benefits me. And Annihilus maybe starts to take a back seat to LDS. I don't know. It's very interesting, but I try to assess the Marvel Snap scene in several different perspectives, right? We do see the Marvel Snap scene from the competitive perspective, like we do in tournaments like this. We do see the Marvel Snap scene from the community outreach and cry on all of the different social medias. It's really, really, it's interesting hearing the different angles from it. So I'll spin this question to you then, OTA or not, irrelevantly. What do you think right now is the biggest hot take happening in Marvel Snap that is true, that maybe is kind of spinning people differently?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
You asked the hard ones.
I know. I don't make it easy here on these tournaments, ladies and gentlemen. I will interview the hosts, and I will give all of the tough questions because they are the most thought-provoking.
Yeah, it is. And it's the hot takes. That's the thing, is a lot has gone down with OTAs, but you said, and everything. I do agree that the Annihilus and Lady Deathstrike combination fight between the two of them is going to be a very interesting thing, because having Lady Deathstrike, see, I like the old Lady Deathstrike where you could power her up and destroy higher cards.
Yeah.
I don't like her just being able to destroy a 3, because she used to be fantastic when you could power her up and take out a 5 or a 6 or a 7 if you got her that high. Now she's just a 3. So she is very specifically set to only destroying negative numbers or 3s, which still gets rid of Dracula. It still gets rid of Iron Man. It still gets rid of those cards that would be buffing things that you don't want to buff. So she is still very useful, but I liked her better when you could buff her up to destroy more power cards. The hot take that I was told about the other day was somebody said they were going to change Black Panther, and I didn't know what they meant by changing Black Panther,
Mm.
whether they were changing the power, whether they were because they can't change his ability to double. So I'm assuming they were talking about changing his power. But what would you do? Would you be raising it? Would you be lowering it? I don't see him being that massive of a threat right now. So I don't think that they should touch him at all. But that's one of my streamers, or not streamers, one of my chat members asked me what I thought about them changing Black Panther. And that's what it came to be. So I don't know what they would do with Black Panther. I think they should just leave him alone because he gets to where he's going just fine. Even when he gets hit with an Armin Zola, he's still, with all the high cards that are out there right now, you can still beat a 32 powered Black Panther with an Infinite and a Red Skull. Or not, yeah, a Red Skull or a Red Hulk. So
it's a tough place though for Black Panther, because even 1 point of power change is, because of the doublings of it that happen from there, it's incredibly strong. Like, because no matter what, as long as he's played out, he's still a 5'10", even if you bring him up 1 power from his base.
Right.
That's a really, really tough place there. But here's what we're going to do, folks. We're going to work here on the back end, get ready for our first presented match. We will be back momentarily, and we will see you all in just a brief moment. Stick around, folks. We will be right back. Alrighty, so we are going to be heading into our very first presented match right now as we swing on over, and we're going to be presenting for you 3, 2, 1. The main stage 1 match here, Squeaky versus Gepard. Now, Squeaky is also known as Whimsic, depending on where you are looking and resourcing, But let's go ahead and take a look at the matchup right now, as Squeaky is already coming on in with a 10-9 lead. We're catching this one right in the very beginning of its presentation, and we can see it is a Thanos deck with Scar. So we've basically traveled backwards in time, and we've gone to the OG days of a Thanos deck in a competition with Scar. And that's a big, big, fat hand right there. Devil Dino, Magneto, Scar, Red Hulk, all of the sixes and all of the chaos versus Gepard, who's already coming in pretty strong with a Patriot build right off the bat. What do you think of this matchup here, King?
This looks amazing. I never thought that we were going to see Thanos again. Everyone said Thanos was dead and dying, and here we go. We have Thanos, and he's in a tournament, and we have Mount Vesuvius, which is going to either make or break this contest.
This is true. Right off the bat, we're going in for at least a 4-cuber. Could potentially end up as 8 if we end up seeing a snap back. But with an Onslaught already beefing up that Patriot thanks to the early drop, and that extra, what do you call it? The extra energy that came out of Castle Blackstone, I think we may end up seeing a big play here where we could see a double Onslaught scenario for the Patriot, but we're looking to counteract that and weaken that left side by playing the double Magneto. So it, on one end, will be quite good and helpful, but Squeaky has the priority here and should be trying to capitalize on that as much as possible, because doubling that Onslaught would make those broodlings, shoot incredibly high. That is assuming that's the direction they would go with this style of Patriot deck coming out from Gepard.
Yes, I'm wondering if they actually have a Mystique to drop on top of that Onslaught, and then you would make a super high brood, super high whatever you put down after Mystique. I would see Mystique and maybe an Ant-Man, and
ooh, there it is. Look at the pull. Pew, 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 pew. 4 cards over into Shuri's lab. Drops it on down as Ultron comes on in and fills everything back up. You get a drone, you get a drone, you get a drone, and it's not enough to go over 30 in the Shuri's lab, taking out 4 cubes.
I was hoping to see if it was enough to take over Castle Blackstone, but no, it still didn't beat the 24. 17 to 24. Oh, that's squeaky clean.
Yes, indeed. That was a really, really tight matchup there. But let's start off with a great advantage here for Gepard, who's getting some free squirrels, therefore free booster fodder. Can't complain about that.
No, you can't. And if that Mockingbird is a 1, what can you say? You've got a 1 Mockingbird. As long as the opponent doesn't have Killmonger, which I doubt they would have in a Patriot list, you're set. So you don't have to play out that Mockingbird until turn 6 if you want. You can play Thanos and Mockingbird on turn 6, drop 19 power on the board. Wow.
Here we go. Power Stone after the Soul Stone to keep some reduction in play. Dazzler also down. That Dazzler is going to take advantage. And Savage Land on top of it. It is the 1 token battle as we get a snap from Gepard, who's like, I've got all the lanes and all the boosts, and you've just got stones and a big dead bird. So you know what? We're going to snap back and try to push you all in. And the right call was made there by Squeaky by running and sacrificing a cube.
Yeah, losing 1 cube on a snapback, absolutely. That was his best decision right there. He couldn't do anything for those lanes. And the Abbey, man, that's going to benefit. If he gets another stone, that's going to benefit Squeaky for sure.
Pretty quick here, but a Hotel Inferno could be pretty important for Gepard in particular. But unfortunately, you're not sitting on any of your stones, any of your boosts to get rid of a card like Patriot specifically. But so both players end up with the skip as we go to Tinker's Workshop here on 3rd location.
Yeah, neither one of them were able to capitalize on Hotel Inferno. No one capitalized on Tinkerers. Wow. We're getting out Hope. So she's going to get a little bit of a power boost here. And so what? Then you put something on top of Hope. But right now, Squeaky can't put anything down.
Yeah.
He's still going to go into turn 5
He's sitting
without
fat.
being able to play any of his turn 6s.
Yeah, Squeaky is sitting pretty fat right now, which is really tough with this style of Thanos deck. Which I find interesting.
Oh,
'cause-
so that takes out the Magneto. So he doesn't have to worry about moving things around anymore. Took out the Blob.
Yeah, I
So
think
Blob
the
is
Blob in
gone.
particular is the big one here.
Yeah.
With a Kyera to give a little protection. Here comes the Patriot. And nothing for Squeaky to really, truly run with except for a tempoed out Shang-Chi. And try to get a
Right.
little extra energy. Maybe drop down 2 cards on the final turn for a little swing. If you can get a stone draw. I don't know. This is a really, really tough one.
That's all they can do. They're not going to play anything. They're just going to skip entirely.
And we get a blue Marvel to drop after that Leech and Patriot. I can smell some drones incoming most likely here.
Absolutely. We have an Ultron incoming, and what is Squeaky going to do about it? There's not much he can do. Yeah, he's going to retreat.
He's got nothing in his hand of true value. And of course, of all the stones, he ends up with the 2-cost stone, which, you know, is a topic in and of itself. Now that we've seen Thanos start to take a back seat ever since his reversions, do we go back to a 1-cost Mind Stone again?
I think they should. I don't think any stone should cost more than 1. I do believe that the Time Stone should cost 0. I think that it should be a 0-cost card. It takes down a point off of Thanos because you've specifically alienated that stone to only work with Thanos.
Right.
So I think that it should be
But it's a
given
card
the
draw.
opportunity to come out for free.
But it's
Pardon?
a card draw.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Take away the card draw.
Oof.
Just give it
Really killed
give
the
it
card.
give it the ability to take the point off Thanos, but take away its card draw and make it a 0.
All right.
And then it'll be played.
Nice start here for Squeaky with the Mockingbird also in the hand. Gets down a stone. That means we're going to have a turn 3 Mockingbird available. And that Scar is also getting its initial reduction down to 411. This looks like a pretty squeaky snap, in my opinion. I'm
Yes.
surprised we haven't seen one come through. Oh, no, he did earlier. So we're at 2 into the high stakes. There's the snap. All right, now we're going into somewhere. This is a really solid start. But also remember that monster could also receive a Patriot buff on the opposite end. So I'm not 100% sure which direction they're going to go, though, but I'm assuming that's an Ant-Man. No, they're going to take the Dazzler, so go for the big beef over in the Monster Island. Pretty tall stack as the peak undoes the profits of that Cull Obsidian, that Scar, and the Mockingbird.
Hits all the big cards. Ruins them. Just
That is
ruins them.
such a regretful snap now, sitting at 4 as a potential loss play. That is oh man, that hurts. No matter who you are, that hurts. As we see the Patriot
Absolutely.
drop on Gepard's side, followed by a Super Skrull, which shouldn't have too much benefit in this deck.
No, the Super Skrull, there's nothing for him to copy. He copied the Power Stone, but he doesn't have a Thanos to double up. So Super Skrull is just there for the stats. And Shang-Chi is going to take out the monster.
Iron Lad hits a Leech, which takes out that Blob.
And just didn't get
Shang-Chi
Shang-Chi in
takes out
time.
The monster. So very tight still in the middle lane as a competitive play, so keep an eye on that. But this is tough, though, because you've got a movable Jeff who can't really benefit too much anywhere else. Indecision creates a good opportunity.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to what else are you going to play on turn 6? Because your Blob is dead. You can play Scar and a 2-cost card if you get one. But what are you going to play? The 2-cost Mind Stone? So you're really not
willingly.
a lot of power. Yeah, you're not going to have a whole lot of power coming out here on turn 6. Squeaky only gets, because what? Thanos is a 6.
Mm-hmm.
Cull is a 4. Scar's a 4. Mockingbird's a 3. So really, you don't have a lot of power here.
Replaying Leech. Just looks like get something out on the curve play. And you're not sitting on a lot of power. Maybe hoping for that Magneto top deck would have been the only way to potentially win that lane out by dragging out a bunch of stuff into either the negative zone or into the peak and win that lane by default. But not a hell of a lot to work with, unfortunately. And Squeaky, who was sitting comfortably with a great big lead, is now looking to be playing from behind for the first time this match in a 5-4 deficit, as Elysium cheapens everybody's play lines and creates some indecision.
The blob is going to be massive if he doesn't get leeched. The Red Hulk is already up to 13, and Elysium is helping everything. The Devil Dinosaur is going to be good if he can fill up his hand with stones, but everything gets sucked back into the deck, and gets spat back out.
This
Hope Summers is
not
good.
Bad. This is not bad at all. You're going to get 2 stones, drag it on down, clear out the Hope Summers as well. Go in with 6 energy if you play them outwards as such. But I would stay away from Grand Central because you know you're going to get something drawn down there. Nice
and if you can make
there.
it Thanos, get pulled down. That'll help your Scar if you get it back. That would help a lot of things. The only thing that this empty hand is not going to help is your Devil Dinosaur.
Very true. You're not looking for a Dino deck, but here we go. There's your Blue Marvel over into the Grand Central, playing it on down probably as a just in case if we have an Ultron in hand and it's going to get pulled by Grand Central potentially. There's your Prevention going into 6 energy for that turn 5. 3 stones and a blob as we get a snap. Sitting with the Mind Stone, you have the full kit and caboodle available to you. So you've guaranteed your 20 power Thanos at this current point.
I was going to say, does he Reality Stone Grand Central? Get rid of it? Or, yeah, there he goes.
I'm surprised he's playing it on down, though. I'm not going to lie. That he's willing to sacrifice it and then manually place down that blob as Dazzler now drops into Grand Central. Here comes Thanos. Wait for his buff. First, put down all the Soul Stones, reducing down the Broodlings and all of the bugs in the center lane. Puts the Devil Dino now into the hand. Thanos gets his reinforcement as the Infinity Gauntlet brings him up to 20. Removes it and buys an extra turn by flipping on that Reality Stone to Limbo, which might end up backfiring because that extra power to Dazzler is a lot easier now than it was a moment ago.
Absolutely. Limbo was not what you wanted it to turn into. Absolutely not. I'm not sure what all he has left in his deck, but placing Blob down, that only gives him the ability to put Cull Obsidian into Limbo.
You've got at least Mockingbird potentially hanging out in there, so there is the potential that once it fills up, it does end up at going over by 9, so the highest would be 24 if it can fill up that 14 before, sorry, 28 if it can fill up that 14 beforehand. 2, 3. I think the blob into the Limbo is dangerous only because you're going to have a larger deficit to work with in Matillion. This is a very tough call here.
Yeah, because there's the potential of the Broods going up. And depending on how high they get, there's the Leech he put out. Oh, he put out Blob at the right time.
He feared the Leech, and he respected it by sacrificing everything else as the Blob comes on down, does a very small amount of absorption, and then Scar gets eaten.
Wow.
So it
we've
just
got Cull Obsidian and Scar.
Am I missing something? How did Blob not go over 15 and then still have a Scar to pull?
I wish that we could click on it. I really wish we could click and see what he ate.
Oh, it says 22 on it. Sorry, it's not 20.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a
thinking
22.
It was 12 for some reason, then I looked at the lane again. My apologies, folks. So sacrificing the Attilan lane looks to be like a pretty solid play, but we don't know if they're sitting on a Shang-Chi in this deck yet. This could be pushing Squeaky out of the tournament, seeing what Gepard looks to do here. But that hidden indecision behind the Invisible Woman defines it all. Here's your Cull, here's your Blob, here's your Onslaught, followed by an Iron Lad who's going to eat up that Ultron, not bring anything else out onto the board, but Patriot brings the reinforcement, and it's not enough as Gepard is now down to his final cube, and they hang on to a small lead. Thanos is still inevitable right now, but can you hold on for 2 more rounds?
Wow. He's got to. Because now with high stakes, it's two cubes apiece. So he's got to get it. He's got to get it hard. And if he gets the right pull, he can do it. But if he doesn't get the right pull and we see a whole handful of 6s again, it could be a downfall for Squeaky.
Yeah. We need... it's great to have that Cull Obsidian right off the bat as well. Nice, easy buff of power.
Sinister London. Wow.
I mean, the combination of... Oh, and that Cosmo's got to feel good to keep that Ultron in check. Looking to hold it and play it behind the Mojo World, potentially. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I can respect it. That's a big Camp Lehigh card, man. It's not going to stop any of those ongoings, but specifically Ultron in Mojo World, I think, is a really big call because you can't take advantage of Sinister London with it because obviously the other lanes would fill up, so you can't get 2 Ultrons out in that aspect. It is it is basically killing Ultron right here by putting Cosmo down now. And I like that play because then it's forcing them to play also into Sinister London, and it's a lot easier to maintain that balance knowing what's going to land behind the Invisible Woman. So I'm a fan of this call here of playing down the Cosmo now.
Yes, absolutely, because he's seen him play Iron Lad behind Invisible Woman. That shuts down by Cosmo. We've seen him put a few other on reveals behind Invisible Woman. So, yeah, that's a good... Oh! So now Cosmo has shut down 2 lanes. The only lane that on reveal is going to work right now is Camp Lehigh.
Well, how the tides have changed. Because not only with those Super Skrulls did it mess up the Cull Obsidians getting Shang-Chi'd, on the other end of that spectrum, it actually affected the Scar, because the Scar went from a 2 cost back up to a 6 cost because Cull is now underneath that threshold. So a lot of big moves happened by that simple Super Skrull that could have had multiple Scars coming on down, and instead, now they're trying to deal with all of the ongoings, ongoing versus ongoing versus ongoing in this matchup. And you've got to figure out with your 7, is it enough to put down the Red Hulk and Power Stone and finagle where those will land? And I think the center is your best bet. You've got the protection of Cosmo in both of those lanes because of the Super Skrull effects, even with the reduction of 1.
Yeah, it's only going to drop to a 12. So the Red Hulk is definitely a good idea here because you don't even know if he's going to be able to play a full 6-power card in the next round. So your Red Hulk could go from 12 to 15. So
it would go up to
12, 16.
It would go to 16 in total on the left and center lane. And even looking at all of the reductions, like even if they chose to play an Ultron in Camp Lehigh and fill up the other 2 lanes, it would not be enough because that Ultron's going to get up to 10. So that lane goes on over, but you're going to end up losing to the double Rulk in your Sinister London and Mojo world. So instead, you're looking at maybe a Mystique, you're looking at a spread on out. Let's see what they end up doing. And instead, they're dropping down an Onslaught to beef everything up ×2. All of the ongoings, and it just isn't enough. 25 versus 22 in Sinister London is not enough to hold on. Unfortunately, that does mean that Squeaky GGs have a great time. I mean, that was, wow, that was very, very tight matchup right there.
Very tight. Tight like a tiger.
This is one way to look at it, Goldfinger. Now, I think as we get ready for the next round, which is going to be our round of 8, we can already see, we were talking about it in the very beginning as well, maybe we start seeing Ultron, maybe we start seeing some Patriot play, and look, Gepard is no stranger to these tournaments. It is very well known that he will be competitive regularly, so to see him willing to bring in that in a competitive aspect is eye-opening in that way. I'm actually very, very happy about that.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely, it was a good attempt by both people. They had very competitive decks, and it wasn't like they were coming in with something out of the blue. They both looked like they knew what they were doing with what they had, and yeah, it was a good effort on both parts.
All right, folks, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get ready for the next round, so we're going to take a short break. Stick around, folks. We will be right back with more here at the King's Clash. Alrighty, folks, we are coming on in. We are coming back. Let's take a quick look here at exactly what is going on in the King's Clash. I'm going to put this up here on the screen and let y'all know with the bracket how things are going so far. So already moving into our round of 8. We have Whimsic, who you just saw playing. You do have Slayer Name, Mulwin, Be Happy, and Blink Enjoyer, because there is always going to be at least one enjoyer of one thing at some point in these competitions in some way, shape, or form. That is an inevitability. It's a minimum standard we have with Marvel Snap now. So we're waiting on a couple of matches to go ahead and finish on up. We're looking at the winner between R191 and Devinter, Tennessee versus Nickel Soup, as well as Derek, who will be probably taking a look at in the next round if he does progress versus Moanzana, who that winner is the matchup that we're going to be eyeing potentially for the next round. Derek, you have seen in several competitions across Marvel Snap, also known as Just Ken. So we shall see if we end up getting that matchup or whichever matchup we end up looking at for the top 8. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed that we end up getting that. That'll be nice and easy and consistent, and we'll be able to move on. But I do want to go over to you, King, with the King's Clash competition. What was the origin of this idea for this series? And tell us a little bit about what you're looking to do, not just from here, from King Clash 2 that we're already experiencing, but as this potentially continues to grow and move forward for the competitive tournament scene.
Well, the thing was, I kind of took it from the Wednesday night Snap events, because originally we had planned on having this be a themed event, but because things didn't work out properly at the beginning, we took out the theme and we just did it as a regular tournament. But as things move forward, we will have themed events going forward. There will be a special stipulation for your deck to run a specific card or a specific combo or a specific 3 cards or 4 cards. We will have votes on the Discord, and so make sure to join the Discord if you want to compete in the King's Clash going forward, because we will have lots going on. We have officially picked a date for July, but we're not going to announce that yet. We are not doing anything next month, but I am hoping to run one every month after July, to have a King's Clash tournament every month from July moving forward. Get us into the summer months, get us into the winter months, and see if we can reach a year worth of King's Clashes and have some fun with it.
Yeah, that is the ideal goal, obviously, because we continue to build on these tournaments here for Marvel Snap and bring in as many people into this community as possible, because you don't have to go on in with the mindset necessarily even of I am the most sweaty player in Marvel Snap. I am dead serious. Look, we are still having fun. I mean, look, we are here at the King's Court. We are here to enjoy the game first and the friendly, competitive nature of what this game could potentially bring to the community second. So if you like this type of content, of course, let the communities know. Go ahead and share, like, subscribe, follow, do all the above. And I want to make sure I give my proper kudos to King for organizing this in particular, for keeping this series alive and moving forward as we get ready for the future. As you said, the next one will be in July as we go towards King Clash number 3. So outside of King's Clash number 3, staying here in number 2, looking at the matchups that we've already, seen, and we're seeing some people sharing images in their decks and what they're going on. We are still seeing, obviously, we just saw the matchup with Patriot versus Thanos. What do you think, given the combination of the most recent OTA and the new cards, both Blink and Nocturne, what do you think is the deck or archetype that you expect to see fall off of the competitive scene the most, and why?
Well, I thought Thanos was going to fall off the competitive scene, and then we just saw him win. So I don't know if my opinion on this is going to be valid or not.
Doesn't have to be right, it's an opinion. We've learned anything in this world that just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you have to be right. So, what is your opinion?
That's correct. My opinion would be that ongoing isn't going to on-go very far. I think that people have taken care of that. I think they thought ahead, and I don't believe that the ongoing decks are going to survive the ongoing onslaught that is coming. I think the on reveal is still going to reign supreme, with that being either Thanos or with that being some other type of on reveal deck. I think that uh, the on reveal has what it takes because its power and its numbers are just unbeatable.
It's interesting with the ongoing decks too. Like me personally, I think because of the fear of Lady Deathstrike, specifically, that's the only reason we're not seeing Tribunal everywhere again. Because Lady Deathstrike has brought to the forefront the mindset of, I can get rid of this, I can screw this up. And Junk was already starting to affect it, but now you have another targeting piece, kind of similar to what Silver Samurai essentially does, but
right,
wasn't being, Silver Samurai has never been a place in the had a place in the competitive meta. We've seen some good decks, seen some yo-yo mechanics essentially that be really it. But outside of that, it's never been a true threat against the competition. On the other end of that perspective, though, then you've got something like Lady Deathstrike, which is a very good card, so much so that it needed to be nerfed down in this most recent OTA, that it's restricting players from thinking about a regular appearance of Iron Man outside of basically a bounce variation where it isn't dependent as a game piece. It is another backup mechanic, because we've seen bounce do very well in competitions, of course, but now it's I don't know, I think Lady Deathstrike's nerf is warranted, but just surprising nevertheless.
Yeah, as I stated at the opening of the show, I believe that Lady Deathstrike's nerf hurt her, but it didn't kill her.
Right.
I still believe that she's a good card, and she still has her place in taking out a lot of good cards. I really wish she would have stayed where you could buff her to attack, but if she's only going to be able to take out a 3-cost card, she's only going to be able to take out a 3-cost card. But like I said, that takes out a Dracula, that takes out Iron Man. So when you have a Living Tribunal deck, if you drop down your Lady Deathstrike, you're going to take out Iron Man, leaving Onslaught and Living Tribunal naked in the lane. So it's well timed. She can still do a lot of damage.
With that said, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of a lot of damage, we're going to go catch up here at the end of round 2. We are going to go take a look at Just Can a little early, also known as Derek, and he's in the middle of his round 2 match right now up against Sid Quinney. Now, this matchup is also down to the wire because Ken is fighting right now for his competitive integrity here in the King's Clash. It is down to 7 versus 3 as we see a Nightcrawler, Jeff, Gladiator, Angela. You see the big bounce package, but then this double play also with Red Hulk and Magneto and Shang-Chi for interference. On the opposite end, it looks like a copy and paste of what we just saw in the past. It's Invisible Woman, Brood, Ant-Man. This is another Patriot deck, most likely. Now with a double Invisible Woman effect going on because Dark Dimension is in your 3rd location.
And that is a benefit for sure for Quinney. That is, it might be over for Just Ken.
Is it just over, though? That's the thing. Looking at every possible lane combination, is it worth it to move the Broodlings or attempt to move the Broodlings? What are they going to place on down here? Because you do have the Magneto right now. You do expect more cards to be placed behind. So if you do see Ultron come on down, what's the buff going to end up being? You don't know what's in the Dark Dimension. It's tough to stay given the amount of indecision and the lack of power on your end. So Ken has really no choice except to go for a 4-game comeback potential up against Quinney. So we have this strong core of, your bounce element, we'll call it. You have your Angela, your Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler. We're getting all of that. And then your big top-end single plays of Red Hulk and Magneto, and maybe a little swinger play with Shang-Chi. So it's a well-constructed deck. It's just right now going up a very tough matchup, as X-Mansion's going to throw in a wrench into everybody's plans, potentially too, in the very first location.
Yeah, X-Mansion, I still believe, should only give X-Men or X-related characters, but it gives everything. The worst part is getting an Agatha, or...
Agatha's fine. I'll take Agatha.
No, yeah, exactly. I meant, because that was not added to your hand, which the one that was added to your hand was worse, getting an Agatha added to your hand. Yeah. But getting an Agatha on the board, absolutely, because she's 14 power.
There you go.
It was Camp Lehigh. That's the one that sends out Agatha to your hand. That just totally messes you up.
Triskelion throwing that on in there is really the highest interference for Agatha, hands down. We just saw the success of Camp Lehigh with Cosmo. Was able to restrict that other lane and gave us the win in the last one with those 3-cost cards, as we get a Scar appearing on the X-Mansion side and a Sabretooth for Quinny. So a nice 6-point differential, not too much interference necessarily for either player's game plan, minus just the power differential.
Yes, and it's not a bad thing for them to get. As much as you don't like to see the power differential between the two, that at least it wasn't an Ant-Man versus Infinite.
I have had Wasp versus Infinite. I have not been on that Infinite side, though.
No, I always end up on the Wasp side too. I don't ever end up getting the high number.
Ooh, Gladiator with a nice restricted Brood play here, only getting one Broodling out and then taking down the original, as Super Skrull takes a risky drop into Hala for that third turn. Sorry, for that fourth turn.
I'll be honest, I'm very surprised with the resurgence of Super Skrull. I guess with all the ongoing going on, everyone wants to run Super Skrull, but I did not think we would see Super Skrull in so many decks.
2 reasons.
That's a surprise.
2 reasons. 1, all of the Blue Marvels for all the Patriot decks. Number 2, Mobius M. Mobius. It is a great counter for all those reductions to have both players then have to play their cards at cost. And in a deck like this in particular, there isn't a huge amount of reduction on the board. If you take a look at the card list that Just Ken is playing, it's as is. So that benefits him in this matchup. But if Quinny was going up against that Thanos deck again, that Super Skrull is incredibly valuable, as we saw.
Right. No, absolutely.
And look at the tall stacks here. Going heavier in X-Mansion, knowing that Ant-Man buff is coming down the pipeline. There's your Red Hulk. There's your Kitty Pryde. Put some more on the board. Here's the Ultron filling up all the lanes. The 24 in the left is enough. And Just Ken has just been knocked out of the King's Clash, unfortunately. GG's and congratulations to Quinny, as we see the end of this matchup now give another benefit to a Patriot deck. That's 2 matches that we've seen Patriot play back-to-back end up in a beneficial standpoint. So
that means we're going to have at least 2 Patriot decks in the top 8.
That is correct. At least 2 Patriot decks will officially be in the top 8. So we're gonna.
What are the chances we're gonna have 4 or 8 Patriot decks all fighting for the last 4 spots?
Is Patriot the new Thanos? Is Patriot the new Loki? All because of the fear of turn 5 now with our little green gremlin friend. So I don't know, but we are officially filled up in that top 8, ladies and gentlemen. Your top 8, excuse me, my apologies. Your top 8 moving into the King's Clash quarterfinals are Whimsic Slayer Name, Mulwin Be Happy, Devinter, Blink Enjoyer, Tennessee, and Muanzana. So we're going to just pair up, get that shuffle up and deal, and then we're going to bring on our next matchup in just a brief moment. Give us about 60 seconds, folks. We will be right back. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going into the quarterfinals right now, or quarterfinals are going on live. The matchups are officially happening as we take a look once again at the bracket and showcase Whimsic versus Slayer Name. That's going to be the showcased match for this round. Also in the background, Mulwin and Be Happy will be facing off Devinter versus Blink Enjoyer and Tennessee versus Wanza. So, lots to come up to be. I don't believe we've seen too much from Slayer Name exactly quite yet, but we're waiting on their matchup at this moment. What do you think, Mr. King, good sir, out of everything that you've been looking forward to for this event in particular, what do you think is the hardest thing from the director's side? As a, creator here for these events, what do you think the hardest thing you've had to experience so far for these events has been? Because I like to listen to each technical director as well to kind of figure out, these experiences, they take a lot of work. So I understand that. So I'd love to hear it from your back-end experience to let the viewers know, how has your experience been and what have been your biggest challenges?
The experience has been fantastic. Not being able to broadcast one of the opening round matches has been was probably the biggest hurdle. Not being able to find someone to get round one out, and us trying to get everyone to share and trying to get everyone to do what they needed to do. And not just me, not just you, but our other mods who have been fantastic, by the way. Two Ties, Ligature have done a fantastic job for us. Both pretty much new to the modding tournament role, and they have still been fantastic. They're doing great. And yeah, I can't ask for such a better team. You guys you're a professional guest. The other two have been fantastic. It has been a fantastic day. I am looking forward to getting out our semifinals and laying down a big surprise for our competitors.
Well, surprise, surprise indeed. We have Thanos on the board here to showcase via Whimsic/Squeaky. And who knows what's going to happen as we get here into the quarterfinals. Now, opening up with a Nidavellir, nice cloggable location for Squeaky, and we get our first reveal here for Slayer Name of their deck. What are they playing? Here's a Quinjet and a Kitty
It's a Loki deck.
Smells like Loki, doesn't it?
Right here. I'm representing my Loki.
There we go. The Loki is live. Now, what happens from it? That's another question. Let's find out, though. Can Loki keep up with this Thanos? And this Thanos, oh boy, let's see. We've got a Jeff, and you could drop down a Mockingbird nice and early, too. Jeff really is only looking at one movement out of the middle lane rather than in. But there's also Hope Summers on the board, too. So is it worth it for the extra energy on this deck? I think so, because you're already sitting on Thanos, Blob, and Scar. Try to get a bunch of that out. I think Hope is the probably safe play here.
Yes, absolutely. You would have liked to have had Hope plus a stone to get that power out.
Of course.
But he didn't have another stone in his hand. So unfortunately, it's just Hope. But Hope, there's the stone. Hope with Mockingbird and Jeff. Or, see, I would do the stone and Mockingbird.
Ooh, removing the bonus off of Nidavellir. I mean, both players are probably going to be clogging that lane, so maybe trying to just get something sneaky to happen over in there as Jeff drops onto Hope Summers, reduces down that Mockingbird with another stone, flips it into X Mansion, who's going to be a neutral location at this point in the game. Agent Coulson's going to put a couple of cards into Slayer Name's hand, and Kitty Pryde takes another bounce over by Elsa Bloodstone. Now, with your 6 energy on this turn, you could also put that directly down onto Fisk Tower and drag over that Elsa Bloodstone, which feels really good. Plus, then you get another 12 by reducing that Scar, and you've got your Mockingbird in your hand, so that'd be a great 1-2 punch for turn 6. Couple of different options here they could run.
They have definitely some opportunities. They could drop down Kairi and Mockingbird, both on top of Hope to get extra power.
We got a snap.
And then we do have a snap. Ooh, who snapped? Squeaky?
I believe
Did Squeaky
did.
snap?
I believe Squeaky did, if I saw that correctly. So next turn, let's find out.
Okay. Let's see him move the Elsa. Waiting on Slayer.
This is a tough build one, too, that Slayer's trying to potentially play around. But there's your Magneto, drags over the Elsa Bloodstone. There's no fill that's going to be undone by this. It's just going to reduce down Elsa a little bit. Here's a Ronin into the hand, one of the pulls from Agent Coulson, which is a nice pull given this opponent right now. And now you've got at most a 2-card drop, Devil Dino Mockingbird, which would give you an 11 power, similar to Scar, with then nothing to float afterwards. You can go for the protection side with Kyera Mockingbird, throwing Mako by herself even potentially. Spreading the power a little wide. I'm surprised, actually.
Yeah, because you're only going to get 12 on the right. And Scar brings you up to 15?
Correct.
No, 14 on the left. So, they're snapping back. We're going for 8 cubes.
No. There's no way this goes into it. There's
What
no
don't we
way
see here?
in round 1 of the quarters we go for an 8-cuber. There's your Cull Obsidian into the X-Mansion. Kitty Pryde fills on up in Fisk, and a big old cable for just 3 drops into the Tinkerer's Workshop. Here's your Mockingbird, and surprise, I've got a Scar. That's gonna steal the X-Mansion. X-Mansion, Tinkerer's Workshop, 8 cubes, 10-2. Advantage, the Thanos deck.
Wow. That's all I can say. Wow.
This right here is probably the biggest change when it comes to open deck list versus closed deck list. If our opponents knew what each other's deck was here in round 1, we probably would have seen a 1-cube retreat in this scenario. But a lot of the unknown, knowing that there's so many different iterations of Thanos, yet alone an iteration that has a Scar to boot, that is a very old deck comparatively to the current metagame, and is making waves and surprising our opponents right away, as we see with an 8-cuber to start off with round number 1, as both are competing currently for the Gamma Lab.
Well, Slayer now has to battle 5 rounds for 2 cubes apiece to win this.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a tall order. That's going to be a very, very, very tall order.
Here's a
It's going to be a guest size order.
And the snap back. This is it. It's going to be a 2-round game, folks. Gonna be a 2-round game if Slayer cannot come on in with this win. Let's see what they drop here. Here's the Snow Guard Hawk, which is going to stop the flip of the Gamma Lab. So no Hulks for you. Mockingbird goes into Vormir for initial power. There's extra rocks also right now in each player's deck, which means Squeaky is sitting on a Darkhawk Feast if we see an Agent Coulson get dropped by Slayer name. So be wary if that comes on out. It is a potential, keyword, potential threat in this round. We get Elsa Bloodstone, and then there's your first appearance of her Kitty Pryde. Gonna bounce that back up into the hand. Gamma's a dead location, Subterranean is a dead location, and Vormir for both players at this point is a dead location too. So.
Wow. Do you play the Devil Dinosaur? I guess you have to just for stats, eh?
You can't skip here on turn 5, and I don't think Jeff's going to provide enough value, so even if it ends up being a 5-7 when all is said and done, it's still a good value for Devil Dino on this turn. Even more rocks are being junked into the deck with the Snow Guard Bear. There's one of them. And now, even though you have a very comfortable lead in Vormir, you still have to have enough to go over the top in Gamma Lab, and Squeaky has the priority. So this is a potential Shang-Chi feast incoming into Gamma Lab for defense. But at the same time, there's not a hell of a lot else that you can really do. And if it's 2 cubes and you're up 10-2, you're already in. This is the smartest way to commit. If we see
a
two
Darkhawk
cubes
into
in the-
Voromir would be amazing.
Yeah, if we see 2 cards into the Gamma Lab, you know one of them's going to be Shang-Chi.
Yeah, see, my fingers are crossed for a Darkhawk into Voromir. That
Darkhawk
Slayer's
would be
holding
a hell of a
Darkhawk.
surprise. We didn't see a Coulson drop, so to see this deck running a Darkhawk organically would be one hell of a shocker. And there's your fill up. Here's your Scar competing for the Gamma Lab with the Jeff. They slide over with the Vormir as Rogue is gonna steal from the Devil Dino. What did I tell you about the reappearance of Rogue in these Loki's decks, ladies and gentlemen? I called that one coming back. Even though it happened, it is not enough for Squeaky to... Oh, sorry, I said that. Not enough for Slayer to go ahead and keep Squeaky at bay. It is not enough. A small miscalculation because of the extra bonuses that landed on the battlefield. Y'all, Loki had the right tools, just was not expecting Scar. Just not expecting Scar at that moment, unfortunately. But it did end up as a knockout, and that does mean that moving on will be Whimsic, and we will have Whimsic versus Be Happy as one of the matchups here in the semi-finals. The winner of Devinter and Blinkenjoyer will also face the winner of Tennessee and Mwanza, my apologies. We will find out momentarily. We're going to go get an update here on the back end, so give us just a moment, folks. Stick around. We'll be right back. righty, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading into the semifinals here for King's Clash number 2. As all of
And
our...
we have a Thanos deck.
Yeah, we have a Thanos deck who's made it into the semis. As my camera seems to be catching up, and for some reason, it was very, very behind. But it is on its way. The love of tech, the love of tech. But we're going to be able to go and broadcast Whimsic, as you see here on the board. Whimsic versus Be Happy. That is the matchup. They're going to go ahead and share their codes now. So on the back end, they're getting matched up, and as soon as they have their codes up and connected, we will switch over to that matchup. So in this Thanos deck, in this Scar matchup in particular, what do you think is going to be the easiest counter for this deck based on your own previous play experience with this style?
Shang-Chi is your best friend here. He's got a whole bunch of high cards. Shang-Chi, Absorbing Man, with a Sarah. You know, Sarah put on 4 or on 5, and then Shang-Chi, Absorbing Man is going to be your best friend. That's the only thing that I can really suggest for what's going to happen. That would be the only thing that will take out. You can't Shang-Chi all 3 lanes, but you can Shang-Chi 2 of them.
This is true. This is true. I would expect to see. Also, there's a potential that Mill may come into the conversation too, because if Mill is able to do so, you're getting rid of stones via Yondu, you're taking away some of those big cards, you're messing up the order with Doc Ock. I could see that being a very strong counter also as well. But we're going to find out now as we go on in. Be Happy versus Squeaky. So let's see what happens. Whimsic, also known as Squeaky, good luck. Let's see if this big beefy Thanos deck can do it once again. As they drop down their Reality Stone to start, let's see what Be Happy has to bring to the table.
Yeah, because we have no idea what Be Happy has.
Sorry, just reflex.
We have no idea what he's got going on. He has a Pixel Leader as an avatar, so that's something. That's a choice.
Yeah, very much a choice. And we get our first appearance of a deck from Be Happy, and it's a Nico. We don't know much to else, but it's a Destroy spell on Nico. Could we see a straight-up Destroy deck?
Oh, Destroy versus
we got
Thanos?
A snap, though.
On Be Happy's part or on
I believe that was
Squeaky's
Be
part?
Happy that snapped.
So he is confident in his hand. Very confident in what he's got going on.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 1 costs currently on the board. So seeing a potential Killmonger even get destroyed from that would be clearing the hand, free death, instant draws, if it's a Destroy deck that Be Happy is bringing. We don't know yet, though, because, well, we have our very first retreat, and Squeaky now playing from behind, going into round number 2, 10-9. Opening with Blob in the hand always feels good, as Washington, D.C. plops down first.
Squeaky was very happy to back out because, like you said, that was a free death. That was a high-ish null. So
could have been a couple of different combinations, but we only know one card so far from Be Happy. Let's see. With Baxter building here, it may give a small advantage over to Squeaky, and especially with the new Baxter building, which got the extra power added to it for all of the locations. It's now a relatively competitive lane more often than not, so I'm curious how both players like to play around it, because I'm of the mindset constantly that if you see Baxter building or Crown Palace, never fight for them, always fight around them. As Human Torch drops down, Nico, Human Torch.
Phoenix Force deck?
I think we have a Phoenix Force player on this side, ladies and gentlemen. Phoenix Force versus Thanos. Greed on greed on greed. It's big cards and 12s versus big cards and 12s. This means that it's going to be all really dependent, on getting that regular Shuri probably down, unless if this is just the weirdest, plainest move deck we've seen in a while.
I don't think we could be that lucky.
It always makes for good content, though, but that's not what's on the minds of these players. They're looking at how can I go over the top here? How can I use DC to my advantage? Do I have any of those nons that make no sense? What do I have to slide out to be competitive here, as Nimrod now also drops into the Baxter building? So full-on Phoenix forcing, but they're just competing in Baxter right now with a straight-up big old destroy combo. Going into the final turn, we could see a Venom into Deathlock, into Carnage kind of thing. You know, maybe a Nico to boot just for funsies. I don't know. But is it enough to put 12 in the left? Because that, to me, is really what the competition is. I think we see a Venom over in Baxter building, and then something else in Lemuria, which means we end up with a total of 20 in the left, and then you end up with 12 in the left and 20 in the right. And they don't have enough. They don't have enough.
Squeaky's backing out.
They back out again. But now you know the combos you're looking at. Now you know what cards to try to potentially expect also, to know if your opponent is ahead or not in their card draw, which is just as important.
Absolutely. You have to know what they're going to play. And now you have the idea of what combos they could get to play down in front of you. So you have to be able to try and get out ahead of that. And he's got enough cards. If he can get his hope, down, Squeaky, I'm saying, if he could get his hope down and get out 2 or 3 of those 10 power cards, he has the potential of beating Be Happy.
Is very, very plausible. We do have a snap with a Tillin, which I find interesting.
Huh. Absolutely. Because normally you don't want to have your cards shuffled back into your hand.
But it benefits Be Happy, though, because for a Thanos player, you want to be sitting on card draw thing, card draw thing, card draw thing. And in this scenario with Attilan, it doesn't really look too promising. If anything, I'd be trying to send over some of those rocks via Oscorp Tower. Clog up their lanes.
Yeah, because then they can't move their Phoenix into it.
Right.
And I just want to point out, we both say that completely differently. I say Atalan.
I say Attilan. What do you say? Let us know in the chat. But, like, for me, it's Attilan. But Elysium, Attilan, Oscorp Tower, like, there's some unique locations, some very big influential locations simultaneously here on the board. And now you got to decide what's worth it. Because, yes, the stones are free right now, but they could also be free later. So is it worth it to hang on to your stones and put down the Reality Stone, keep everything that you have in your hand already in your hand, buy some time? Or is it worth it to throw it on down, clog it on up, and see what happens next, as Deathlock drops here on turn 3 to destroy that multiple man, giving way for the potential revival via Phoenix Force, and a hell of a lot of multiple men on turn 4, as Kamar Taj now comes in.
Kamar Taj does not benefit Squeaky whatsoever.
But it really benefits Be Happy if he's sitting on that Shuri and Phoenix Force.
Yes, it does. And that is the unfortunate part of your Reality Stone.
RNG, may it reign supreme. However, with the snap back, it can't feel that good, because that probably means they have that combo, in my opinion. Otherwise, it's a great, great bluff.
Here we go. Are we going to see Shuri?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, there's the Shuri.
Oh, that's a big multiple man. That's a 32 power multiple man incoming, y'all.
Wow. Yeah, your Red Hulk's not going to do it, Squeaky.
They're already in at 4, so might as well get to turn 6 and then make your decision. You got to know if they're going to plop it down or not. It also could be Nimrod, and they just say, screw it. Sitting on a Nimrod, that'd be a 24 power Nimrod that you could multiply all over the place. It's 2 cards, though. That means it's probably Phoenix Force Ghost Spider. Show me Phoenix Force. Venom, they don't have either.
Oh, wow.
Venom, they don't have either. And the Shang-Chi read by Be Happy was perfect to take out a card in the left lane. Goodbye, that Dino's extinct. Now, Squeaky's sitting on a lot of cards to drop. But what are you going to do if you are Be Happy?
Oh, wow. Scar, Mockingbird, and a Thanos? Oh, a Kyera. Well, to answer your question, be happy. All you can do is Phoenix Force. Holy mackerel. Oh, we are going to Arnim Zola?
Zola's the Shang-Chi to take down the two big boys in Elysium. Here's some extra power. It's going to end up as a 6 total in Osgore Tower. Trying to keep up, but 6 is not going to be enough. The Kyera puts a tie into Elysium, and the tiebreaker is 16 versus 20, favor of Squeaky, even though that big 8-cuber gave Squeaky, and these 8-cubers, man, that 8-cuber with the Arnim Zola Shang-Chi is just insane.
Wow. He won by 3 points. I think it was 3 points
4
in the tiebreaker.
Holy wow, man.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, he's definitely got a Shang-Chi. He's got his Kyera. So as long as he can get that Kyera down sooner rather than later, he will. Why does he back out? Asteroid M? He didn't like Asteroid M?
The drags of all those 3s apparently is not worth it. Because also remember, that was round number 4. So round number 4 is the last opportunity for a 1-cube retreat. Whether you have 8 cubes or 7 cubes, either way, Be Happy has to simply win 4 games. So it's a free retreat,
Wow.
given the situation that Be Happy is in going into round number 5. It's an incredibly smart positioning play from Squeaky, understanding this is my cube count. This is a free look at all locations prior to a snap, no matter what. The second there's a snap, though, I can retreat, and it's literally no difference going into round number 5.
Absolutely. So Dark Dimension, Quintar, and Titan. So Titan works perfectly for Squeaky because now all of his 6s just became 5s. With Hope on the board, they all became 4s, basically. He can get out whatever he wants. Out comes the Mockingbird. We're going to drop Soulstone into Dark Dimension to cover up and not reveal that it's there. Clintar is just what it is. It's going to set itself off here and eat the middle section. Oh, he's reversing his call.
I like the
Squeaky
idea of
doesn't like
also
it.
hiding both, because that's at least 11 power on turn 4 in total if one card gets played for competition. So you've got a max of 14, max of 14 power being dropped on turn 4 via the Dark Dimension. I think that's a pretty safe call, and you can still beef up high onto Titan next turn using the Devil Dinosaur. You've got
Right.
Titan also reducing all those 6 costs anywho, so that takes away your desperate need to bounce on that Hope Summers and hope that you can get another 6 cost card down. Now you're in a safe position where you can even manipulate the symbiotes, who are 4 cost cards, use the Magneto, drag it over into Titan, and keep a small 1-point lead in Clintar potentially too. Because Be
Gonna
Happy has
blob.
Prio.
Gonna blob Titan, eat up what's left in his deck, get probably a 22 powered blob.
Yeah.
And then drop Magneto.
Ooh, and the Phoenix Force comes back for the first time, reviving the Human Torch, who can move around for one more turn. There's your Ghost Spider, goes to 7 to 14, goes at
14.
least to 28 now with a free movement on turn 6, as Blob takes on a bunch of power, going to 15 into the final turn.
All right. So, do you move your Human Torch into Blob's lane?
Human
Or
Torch
do you
into the
move it
Blob lane
into-
is at least 28 power. You're You're sitting on a Venom for 5. But you also don't know, because this is a closed deck list, you also don't know if your opponent is running Shang-Chi ready and available at any given point. They haven't seen a Shang-Chi come out of Squeaky's deck yet all cards have also not been revealed yet.
That's right. We know that Squeaky has it, but he doesn't have it in hand.
Right.
So it's not going to do him any good.
It's called backseat gaming at its best, ladies and gentlemen. Putting down the Scarring Kyera is going to bring that up in a hope that there's a movement, and there is. Get ready for Arnim Zola, ladies and gentlemen. I see it coming in the Dark Dimension. Boom! 28 power in 2 lanes, and Be Happy holds on. Bringing in 2 28 power Human Torches. Clintar goes to 35. Titan goes to 33. We go to round number 6. And Be Happy is trying to take down the Squeaky by winning another 3 in a row after this.
Wow. Yeah, that's the benefit of being able to move that Phoenix. You move it to places that have nothing else in it. Hit it with your Phoenix or with your Armanzola. Send it across. Wow.
And that Death's Domain went from being Be Happy's best friend to worst enemy because of Sinister London. Second Death's Domain was on the board. You had a free destroy right off the bat, as you just saw multiple man get tossed into Death's Domain. So it looked like you had full-on great construction. And then all of a sudden, here, let me put cards that can play cards into that lane location. Drops in right after it with Sinister London, followed by Hala. So even if you double something over into Sinister London, you've got to be real careful, because now you've got to keep up with it in Hala.
And that's the way that this beautiful game works. Giveth and taketh away.
Hope Summers landed well over into the Death's Domain, and I really like Hope Summers here in Death's Domain, because now you also have a Space Stone in your hand. Plopping down that Space Stone directly into Death's Domain, kill the stone, get the draw, and the potential slide movement is very strong and valuable right now and should not be slept on. I think best opportunities here are looking at getting a couple of Time Stones for a couple of card draws. If Time Stone dies, a Time Stone dies. But get those card draws. Space Stone can then move something into Death's Domain if it ends up being really detrimental as well, and needing to move Hope Summers, for example, as they see the exact same play currently at the moment. But instead they go for the destruction in Hala as a potential play. Instead of taking the extra energy going into the next turn, there's your time and space, putting 2 power into Hala as Phoenix Force comes on down, revives the multiple man, puts down a second multiple man into Hala, and it survives, taking out those stones, and now you've got 2 movable 8 power multiple men on turn 5.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Happy is very happy.
You know who else is happy? Squeaky, because you've got a blob that Sinister London will then be able to absorb twice, where that first blob will get to that 15 cap and then stop. The second blob will start from the copy number and then go up again.
But most of his high cards are in his hand. He's got his Red Hulk. He's got his Magneto.
Cull
the only
Obsidian
card
and
that he
Mockingbird
doesn't
are
really...
all you need to be good.
Yeah. But then for the retrigger, there's nothing to eat.
Here we go. Gets a couple of those multiple men out. There's Shimmy 1. There's Shimmy 2. I'm expecting a Ghost Spider here on Shimmy number 3 into the Death's Domain. Let's see where they plop it on down, as there's lots of flames. There it is. There's the Ghost Spider. Gets a drag. Takes that multiple man in the left. Puts the copy back over on the right. Drops away the Ghost Spider into the Death's Domain. And then the last card in the domain is the Shuri. So we also have Nimrods coming to play into Death's Domain at 12 power apiece. This is a lot of power, y'all. And the scariest thing of all, priority for Squeaky. Because we know they own a Shang-Chi and they are not afraid to use it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
So what do you do? Do you put down the Devil Dinosaur and the Mind Stone?
Devil Dino and Mind Stone puts then a 17 power Devil Dino in 2 locations. Because you'll end up with 7 cards in your hand. They haven't gone through all their stones yet. Those 2 17 powers, even if it's best case scenario, center and right into Hala, that means you're getting 39 and 34.
Right.
If the 12 powered Nimrods came on down, that would go to 28 in each lane. It would not be enough. The Shang-Chi would have to land in Sinister London, and then they would, and Be Happy would be moving on to round number 7.
Right. And
Plus,
don't forget,
there's multiple men
these
movement
multiple
happening
men are
too.
going to move.
Yeah, but you only have to really fill the Death's Domain to take over the top.
Right.
You pin just enough movements to have Shang-Chi land in 2 very specific locations and guarantee your lane win there. Watch. There's your multiple men movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They do the movements, get the restrictions on down, and Devil Dino lands in the best possible scenario, which is over in Hala. There's your 35, your 31, 33, 37, 39. There we go. 39 versus 35. Here we go. Multiple man number 1 slides back over into the right-hand side. You've got your first reveal. There's your Shang-Chi clearing in the lane number 1. And Shang-Chi takes the victory here with all of the multiple men repositioning themselves afterwards. That means we are going on to round number 7 as all of the multiple men fill up the rest of the board with their movements.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful line movement also on these multiple men. Got to give credit there because, look, it was the perfect ordering. Everything ended up in the right position, in the right order, at the right time. You got a full board. That is someone who knows their deck inside and out on knowing how to navigate. So well done there. Expertly piloted. Let's go to round number 7 and see what we can do here.
Yeah, so far, he has worked his way down from a deficit of 2 to Squeaky now only having 1 cube more. So Be Happy is doing something right.
Big 8 cubers are wonderful, but it only matters if you can close it out. Let's see what happens here with a Kyera in hand. Because that Shang-Chi's lost a lot of value in Squeaky's deck. But when you're sitting on a blob, you can't be that upset about it either. She-Hulk's a great card here. If we see a float for turn 3, go to She-Hulk 4, Scar 5. It could be some nice power pieces there, but that opening Aunt May's to get us an immediate 10 power Human Torch movement also is incredibly strong. So do you continue that strength by taking advantage of Kyera with Aunt May's, or do you just flip over the raft hoping that, you know, you can maybe get an extra free big card via the 6-costers?
Wow. It looks like you're going to have to try for the raft. That would be Happy. Get his cards into the raft, get what he can out of it. But this is a smart idea by Squeaky, dropping down his Kyera, getting the bonus, making sure that his 6s will not be destroyed. The 6s, so the Shang-Chi is now useless if you can get the rest of these out. Oh, we're going to change the raft with the Reality Stone.
On the one end, very smart. On the other end, huge risk, because you're very heavily positioned to try and pull another stone on the next turn, and they would have if they had floated it into turn 5 to get a free card on turn 6. Instead, we see the revival via Kunlun, which is also benefiting the Phoenix Force. And you've got to try to position and hope that you land your Shang-Chi perfectly.
Well, I don't think he's going to be using the Shang-Chi because of the Kyera. Oh, you're talking about Squeaky. Yeah, Squeaky trying to get the Shang-Chi out onto the Human Torch.
Here's what I see happening. I see them setting up Arnim Zola, which means they have to position that Human Torch into the middle lane, knowing that you'd have a clean lane in both Ant Maze and Kunlun, showing the indecision on turn 6. Your most likely position for Human Torch on this turn is probably going to be the center lane on turn 5 to prepare for that movement and duplication on turn 6, as we've seen already as a ran mechanic via Be Happy. So I like this call of where they've decided to place down that Shang-Chi, and it looks like they read it perfectly as we get the movement and the Shuri. Here's the big explosion that Squeaky needed to try to keep Be Happy at bay, as now Shuri sits trying to duplicate something to win 2 lanes. Be Happy has a tough task ahead of them now.
Yes, they do. All it takes, he's going to blob. Do you think he has a Carnage? Do you think he can? No, I guess he can't do a Nimrod and Carnage. He's got nothing unless he's got to destroy Nico. If he's got a Nico and...
Still wouldn't be enough.
No, I guess
Destroying
it wouldn't,
Nico would not be enough, because that Nico would go down first. That would be a 4-power
and it would
Nico.
take away the Shuri.
And then you'd have the duplication. So the blob would take over that middle lane. I think pretty much most scenarios, it looks like you are set to go in Kunlun. There's no extra energy at play. We could see a medium card get duplicated and moved. We could see, for example, Venom get dropped down into Great Portal, then get dragged into Kunlun, and then compete into Ant Maze. So that would be what I would personally expect. Let's see what the final call is. It's been locked in. They've gone with Blob on the left. It's a left and center. Left and center for the wins. Let's find out. Blob goes all the way up to 22, and Shang-Chi is unable to take it down due to the Kyera. Squeaky, also known as Whimsic, is moving on to the finals. Thanos has progressed all the way to the finals in the King's Clash number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be showcasing that match in just a brief moment as we wait for the second semifinal to wrap up. We'll be showcasing the finals here on the channel in just a moment.
Yes, but this is a great time for me to talk about my surprise before we go to break. Giving our finale, because we can't cast the second finale or the second semifinal. We're not able to cast that because we can't get into it. So those two are competing right now. The winner of that is going to go on to face Whimsic. Now, my plan is Whimsic versus somebody will win the tournament. But they are guaranteed $25 to win this tournament. The secondary person gets a season pass, thanks to our good sponsor, Snap Judgment League and Snap Judgment Podcast. So, with that being said, my challenge to you, the winner of this tournament, whether it be Whimsic or whether it be his opponent, I will double your winnings if you can go on to beat me after you win this tournament. If you can win the tournament and face me, which I already have a picked deck before the show even started. I picked a deck and sent it to guests. I sent it to my mods just to be sure it would be competitive. I wouldn't be able to pick something just to beat your deck. I wouldn't be able to see what you were winning with and then beat you. My deck was pre-picked before the show even started. If you have what it takes and want to take on the King's Challenge, the double down duel, I will double your $25 and turn it into $50 for winning the King's Clash tournament. But here's the caveat. If you cannot beat me, you get nothing. You get absolutely nothing. Your $25 will go into the winner's pot for next show, and you go home with nothing. So think it over. Winners of the King's Clash, this is my challenge to you. Let's see if you have what it takes.
And we will find out after this break. Alrighty, folks, the finals are being set up behind the scenes as we speak here at the King's Clash, as we wait for the final details to come to be in regards to these finals. I do want to ask the King of Canada, our host today, ladies and gentlemen, a couple quick questions, because Marvel Snap is one of the most prominent games that have been rising, obviously, both mobile and PC over the last year. And we've had so many changes. We talked about quite a bit of them recently in the OTAs that have come to the game. And now we start seeing these new elements that are also emerging in the game. We see leagues being tested over in the UK, and we hear from data mines that there might even be some potential for new game modes that could involve high stakes in some poker-ish style of way. There's so many cool things that are coming and could happen in Marvel Snap. I ask you, King, outside of a spectator mode, what is the number one thing you'd be looking forward to seeing in Marvel Snap, whether it be from the competitive scene for your own events like the King's Clash, or just for your own personal enjoyment here in Marvel Snap?
Well, there's lots that we would love to have. We would love to have the ability to add an extra card to your hand, like having it as a floater, so you can stick it into a match if you really want to. I love the idea that they added in the graveyard, because that is something that we wanted forever. For the people that couldn't use the trackers, that was something that was there for them specifically, and that was an amazing addition. For myself, I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. I've never given it a whole lot of thought to what I want more in this. I'm always happy with what I get. And I'm not one that likes to ask for this or for that, because I want to make sure that they're doing their best with what they're giving us. And personally, I enjoy every aspect of this game, from the community being the best community I've ever been involved with, to just playing the game itself. Sure, the meta gets stale from time to time, but they try and fix that with the OTAs. And I don't complain about it. Do I reach Infinite all the time? No. There have been seasons where I have not reached Infinite because I've got stuck in this meta where I couldn't get out of the 80s or I couldn't get out of the 90s. And it just took me, I battled week after week with the new card, and I just couldn't get it done. Right now, I think I'm currently sitting at 93. So I'm hopefully going to close in on Infinite sometime soon, but we never know. I have lost. I battled the other night. I lost 2 8-cube matches, which I thought were victories, and I dropped to 90. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to be back in the 80s. And I battled my way back up. So you never know what it's going to take to get to Infinite. But that's not always everyone's goal either, right? Infinite is not always everyone's goal. It doesn't have to make it to Infinite to have fun in this game. That's the one thing I enjoy about it. I love going and playing Conquest. Some people don't even bother with Conquest. I enjoy Conquest. I would like the leagues to be more like a Conquest, where that's what I'm really hoping that our not rivals. It's not rivals. I have rivals on my mind right now. I'm trying to get the groups, the groups, to get the clans or whatever they're going to end up calling them. And I really hope that they're going to be something like our clan competes in something like Conquest, where everybody does a battle and it raises your level as you go up higher. You go up higher and you progress as everyone's together, and you get points and you get rewards working together in a Conquest style match. That's what I'm hoping we get out of these clans, because I think that would be a blast, having 5 or 10 people on a ladder together battling up this Conquest, kind of like the old Mortal Kombat style ladder, where you beat one and then your partner beats the next one, and then the partner after that beats the next one, and the one after that beats the next one, and you get your points to battle up, and you get rewards as you go. That's how I would like to see the clans come to be in Marvel Snap.
I think with clans right now, the only thing I want to see based on what we know from data mines exclusively is right now they're capped at 25 people. And I've got a large amount of people I want to do this with. So I want to see a larger group if that's the case. But look,
yeah,
I'm optimistic. I have been in these styles of events, these styles of groups before with these mobile games. I'm hoping that there's a balance in this when it comes to play expectations. So we shall see. I'm going to be open and bright-minded and optimistic about it until I don't have to be, because I have seen this in a good way and I've seen this in a negative way. The only thing I want it to be is promoting interaction, not forcing interaction. That's what I want to see happen from these clans more than anything else. So.
Yes, absolutely. I don't want it to have to be something that you have to do every week. It's something that you can choose to do every week. You can team up with your buddies, go out, have a good time, do the quests, do the missions, get your bonuses, and if you don't want to do them, then you don't have to. It's not going to be something that has to be forced upon us. It's something that will be chose for us to do.
Yeah. Well,
I absolutely agree with that.
Let's find out and see what happens, as I believe they are sharing codes right now in the back end, and we will get on to our final presentation here for King's Clash number 2. It is going to end up being Tennessee versus Whimsic. So we don't know what Tennessee is bringing in. We don't even know what Whimsic is bringing in, because each round is still closed deck list, and both players have also been reminded if they wish to switch their decks, they can. So fingers crossed, that each player is getting ready to try to semi-counter the other, because we've seen Whimsic's deck here on stream. Even though we are on a 5-minute delay, it is very plausible that this may end up being a deck switch for both players. We shall see.
Absolutely. I would definitely switch my deck. You've been broadcasted 3 times or 2 times, and there is a very good chance that somebody has seen your deck already. So knowing that, and knowing the fact that they possibly have seen what I'm playing, I would go into the finals with something I'm comfortable with, and that's completely different. That would be my suggestion for both players. We haven't seen anything that Tennessee has brought, so Tennessee is a blank slate. He could be playing the deck that he's played all the way through, or he could be playing something completely different. We have no idea.
I think it's also interesting because you end up in this chess mindset too of you have the and also a little bit of a Monty Hill problem, where you're trying to figure out how far do you want to think ahead in regards to it. Do you play the mind game of staying with the same deck because they expect you to change, or do you play the counter to that deck that's the counter to the deck? There's so many different ways to go in regards to that, because your head says, okay, I've been playing a Thanos deck, right? Strongest counter, a strong counter, let's say the Thanos deck. I'm going to play a Loki deck, typically is normally pretty decent, for example, right? You get your full Loki line and mill out stuff, or play a mill deck, right? Let's say mill, because we used that example earlier. We play a mill deck, right? So then you end up playing the counter to mill. Something along those lines.
Right.
How far do you go in that thought process?
Well, the way you look at it is, I like to play home brews. I like to build something different. I like to build something that's a little unique, that's a little out there, because you don't want to be typical. And if you're typical, then they have a way of challenging you. But if you're atypical or non-typical, or whichever typical you want to be that's different, that's the best way of doing it. And here we go, Squeaky versus Tennessee.
Good luck, have fun, Squeaky has brought back Thanos, not opting for a deck change as we go into round number 1 here at the finals of King's Clash 2. Let's see what Tennessee decides to bring to the table.
Does Tennessee actually use his avatar to show off the deck that he's going to play? A lot of people do. A lot of people use their avatars to show off the deck that they're going to play. Are we going to see a Loki deck?
We aren't. We are seeing Mysterio. We are seeing potentially Bounce. We are seeing potentially Killmonger mixed in with Death and Mockingbird and Squirrel Girl. We could see that deck. There's a couple of different things that could happen here with this deck. And, oh, it's a straight-up Clogger with Debris also on the board, too, clearing back up the Murder World lane, putting 3 cards already into Fogwell's Gym, which is... I don't understand why that location is in Conquest personally, but, I mean, sure, to each their own.
Yeah, there's a couple locations that shouldn't be into Conquest, but that's a story for a whole nother ball of wax. So...
Amen to that, good sir. Let's see what else they put out here. There's not a lot of movement for Squeaky in this round. And Debris putting up that clog is interesting. We get a snap.
Coming from
Squeaky.
Tennessee.
Feeling good about their line already, which is surprising.
And right now, Squeaky can't do a lot. He'll get, what was his turn 4? So he'll get a turn 6 play. So he'll get a Thanos, or he'll get a Magneto, or a Blob. Oh, Carnage eats up the Fogwell's Gym.
Leaning up a bit in Fogwell's Gym, already sat on the +2 due to Wakandan Embassy, giving you a 2/8 on the Carnage line. And now you look to build 7 energy for turn 6, but also plop down a protectable Blob because you're sitting on Kyera in your hand, depending on the priority that drops on you too. You got 3 cards coming on in, ends up at a 21 power Blob as the Killmonger takes 3 cards away, weakening that Fogwell's Gym because we've got a Nico Minoru also coming down to give extra power to the demon. So Fogwell's Gym sitting at 10.
Priority is now in Tennessee's hands.
But also remember, you do have Magneto. So even if they do Shang-Chi or Blob, you could have that play available to you too. There's a couple options here. Mysterio sitting at 2 due to the original Wakandan Embassy hit.
So he's dropping Thanos and Jeff in the middle. He's hoping to overtake Murder World and hoping that he's not going to have Blob get Shang-Chi. Because if Blob gets Shang-Chi, oh, there's the opponent retreat.
Ooh, does not have it and takes a 2-cube hit. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Tennessee either doesn't have a Shang-Chi or he didn't draw his Shang-Chi.
Don't worry, folks. Location batching isn't a thing.
Fogwell's Gym appearing once again.
As we get an early flip on our 3rd location, which is Avengers Compound, so a little bit of restriction there to accompany the Monster Island, which now really makes you want to feed into your Kyera line for some extra protection.
Absolutely. Get Kyera down as soon as possible, because then you're going to avoid all the Shang-Chi.
Ooh, and a Daily Bugle flip from Nico is going to plop an Annihilus into Squeaky's hands. So now we get our first appearance of the Annie. So we are looking at a Sentry line probably being coupled into this deck.
Yes, I'm going to imagine Sentry along with Annihilus. Absolutely, it comes hand in hand. So, because they had the hood there as well. So there is the potential of dropping some stuff onto the other side of the lane. But do they have the goblins that normally accompany? Oh, they got the Kyeri too.
Yeah, Kyera gets dropped on down. So now both players are going to have that giant big ol' 6 protection, but there is no ramp here. We do have Hope Summers to work with typically, but that she has not been drawn this turn. So now you're looking at just simple protection on your middle lane and try to figure out what to move and play around if need may be after.
So they're dropping Space Stone on the left, Kairi on the right.
Now Hope makes her appearance as the big ol' sentry flies over the void. But you're sitting on
Now.
your opponent's Annie.
That's right. So I would keep it. No, they're just going to block the lane. That works too. Because the void's going to disappear. So you don't really have to worry about anything being dropped into the middle.
And I love
Don't
this
have to worry
monster
anything
move
being-
right here as well. Love
Yeah,
the monster
it
move
takes-
call.
20 power on the left side. Then you can drop your blob in the middle. Eat stuff up. Away you go.
This
Somebody
is a very
snap.
clean snap too, because with the void over there, even if they go ahead and try to put down the Annihilus, which would bring it to potentially, depending on which Mysterio is where, as high as 14 power, that still feels pretty good when all is said and done. 11 power when all is said and done. Let's see if they plopped the Annie. No, they plopped down the LDS, which takes
Lady
out
Death
all
Strike.
of those, including the Kyera, now re-revealing some weakness because that Soulstone brought Kyera down to 3 power for LDS to destroy.
Wow. So the Magneto or the Blob? Which is it going to be? Because he
I
can't
don't know
win
if I
them
move
both.
Jeff here.
You can't win them both. He's going to leave Jeff in the middle and try and get Blob past 15 or 18. No, he's moving
Really
Jeff.
depends on what's left in the deck. You're sitting on your Cull.
Your,
that's
your
your
Cull
big
and your
variant.
Scar.
Yeah.
So that's 21. If he can eat both of them.
It all matters about what's going to be eaten last, what goes over that 15 threshold, because you can eat one of them and then just a whole bunch of stones and it'll stop at 15 too. So who knows?
That's true.
But I like the... It's a tough call with the Jeff in particular, just because of the indecision that's revealing around Mysterio, because now it's a, again, back to Monty Hill reference, now it's a 50-50 based on whatever you thought it was and we're factoring in prior.
And the opponent retreats once again. Tennessee says, no, I don't have enough power to beat you.
I think the Kyera destruction and the lack of protection for that monster in particular is what did in that retreat.
That makes sense because you know that he does have a Shang-Chi. I don't know if he knows he has a Shang-Chi, but there is a Shang-Chi available. The potential
He's got to
of a
assume
Shang-Chi
it's a
is there.
Thanos build. It's got to assume. Most
Exactly.
likely, yeah.
And like I said, if you have watched the previous matches or have seen any of the previous matches, you know that there's a Shang-Chi in this deck. So it all depends on whether Tennessee has seen anything prior to this or not.
True.
So he knows what's going on. He knows what's happening. And he knows that with the Kairi death,
Tennessee snapped. Tennessee snapped.
oh, Tennessee snapped.
Uh-huh.
So there is something in his hand that he really, really likes. Did he finally get his Loki line? Or his... I guess he's not playing Loki, he's playing Annihilus. And did he get his combo? That is the question. His Annihilus and his Sentry combo.
Sending over those rocks has got to be on the goal list right now. There's the... Yeah, they're trying to clog the Necrotia line right now, is what it looks like. Getting to... Also now Gladiator making his first appearance. As the Devil Dino sits at 11. All the curses come out of Glad. Titan getting a cheap blob even. I mean, that's going to end up down being a one-cost Scar when this is all said and done.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to drop Thanos and Scar, or he's going to be able to drop Red Hulk and Scar. Wow.
We get a snapback, and an appropriate one at that. Looking at Necrosha all by itself,
Absolutely.
this is a strong snapback here to push Tennessee to at least a 4-cuber, and it takes it. They put the blob into Necrosha, who's going to shoot up to 15. 15 when all is said and
21.
done. Carnage takes the destruction into Titan with a Killmonger at the end, which gets rid of the Soul Stone, the Rock, the Hood. It is not an Annihilus play we see on 5. It's a destruction play we see on 5. And now, what looked clean now looks to be a little bit more muddled, as we're sitting on a Red Hulk, a Scar, a Thanos, maybe some protection pieces, but priority is, I think, the bigger player here for Squeaky, trying to decide, does he need to protect his blob as a win condition, or can he just go tall and wide with Red Hulk and Scar?
I would put them on all 3 decks, or all 3 lanes. I wouldn't pile everything up in one.
See, to me, sacrifice the mid, bring the Devil Dino down to 9 by putting out Kyera and Time Stone, because then later on, sorry, it'll end up being 11 because Time Stone's going to draw. It'll still be Shang-Chi. Never mind.
I don't like putting them both in one lane, because you know Devil Dinosaur is going to drop. So if he does, the opponent retreats.
Tennessee got the backfire and wasn't expecting the blob over in Necrosha.
Wow, Squeaky's got 10-2 right now over Tennessee.
Is Thanos about to take down a tournament again?
Will he reign supreme and be King Thanos?
Oh boy. Oh boy, indeed.
There we go. He connected. I was worried about a disconnect.
We've seen that happen before, so, you know.
Yes. Well, I was wondering if Tennessee threw his phone against the wall.
Plausible.
So we've got
Especially
Sewer
'cause it was
System,
his snap.
Muir Island.
Muir Island
So
definitely
Sewer
speaks to Kyera.
Yeah, and Sewer System benefits Annihilus. So far locations are split. And Nowhere. Nowhere doesn't allow for anything to happen on that side.
Right.
Doesn't allow for anything at all to be there's no. It would be beneficial for. Oh, that's a good call to put Gladiator there.
Yeah, neutral
With
Glad.
this-
Don't have to worry about accidentally pulling one of the big cards out of this deck where
Yeah.
you know your targets are huge more often than not. Call Obsidian's a perfect call into Sewer System because then it stays out of Shang-Chi range as well. That's a hell of a lot of power to have to try to counteract and deal with. 2 cards drop over from Tennessee, who's going to be a Nico Minoru, who's going to transform the Carnage into a demon, putting 5 power over in the Sewer System. Everybody scales on up. We have a tiebreaker situation right now. Small advantage to Tennessee, who puts the priority in his place.
Wow. So we're going to get Devil Dino into Nowhere because that's the ongoing ability that works best in Nowhere.
And here comes the LDS, not destroying
doesn't-
anything, but just being a power play and spreading an even spread. Now, this is a tough call here for both players because all 3 locations are incredibly competitive.
He's going to
Just-
Magneto and pull over the Gladiator.
Oh, I don't know if I like that call.
I
But
don't either.
Tennessee's going for it. This is it. Magneto drops over the Gladiator, brings it into the Sewer System. Is 22 on 17. The Killmonger comes on down for power. It's not going to be enough as the the Mockingbird goes over into Sewer System. It's not over. No clean
It's not.
sweep. Mockingbird to the rescue after 4 rounds, finally getting some big plays here from her. And Sewer System is barely squeaked out. We go to round number 5.
Now we're into the high stakes.
Yeah. Tennessee's got to win. That was 1. Now has to win 4 more in a row. Where we've seen it
all
get
right.
down to the wire.
I was gonna say it can happen. It's not outside the realm of possibilities.
Yes.
With Elysium coming down, oh my goodness.
We might see a lot of cards.
We're gonna see plenty of cards coming from Tennessee. There's not gonna be a lot that Squeaky can put out because all of it. Oh, look at that!
Here's some Mysterios. Here's a Hood. Here's a, I guess maybe even a Killmonger. I don't know. Let's see. It's turn 2. So, and there's the Carnage as well. There's all your power right off the bat.
And there's a stone.
All right. And Olympia puts even more cards into Tennessee's hand. That Mind Stone actually kind of backfiring a bit. And given the small costs of Tennessee's cards, I would heavily contemplate actually getting rid of Elysium. Knowing that Mojo
Yes.
World's going to be very easy to fill up, I wouldn't be surprised if they tossed out Elysium, but instead they're thinking it's more valuable to them, given their current hand, to be able to get 2 6s out onto the board in Elysium and potentially Olympia, because Mojo World is a little harder to keep up with without extra stones in their hand. Sentry comes in on turn 3 and plops over the Void into Olympia, as we have the removal of Olympia and it transforms into the Big House.
Big house. Horrible. Horrible for Squeaky. The big house is going to prevent him from putting anything in there.
It
Except for
depending,
stones.
but here's the thing though. This does remove Annie and LDS from being playable options into the Big House. It's now limiting where they can output those pieces of power. And the removal of Elysium would have made it also different in the opposite context, because it would have bought another turn before either could have been played. So the Big House actually ends up being a great location given the circumstances. And I really like this idea of Shang-Chiing now, but I would couple that with the Space Stone into Mojo World to move over and make that a competitive lane if need may be.
Yes. That's
Get the
what
card
my
draw.
exact. I absolutely agree with that. I was going to say you Shang-Chi the Sentry now, you put a stone into Mojo World, then you've got your priority.
Here comes the Shang-Chi, taking Sentry and putting him into his own Void, followed by Nico Minoru, who's got the card duplication of that Mockingbird, puts another Mockingbird into their hand. Big play there. There's your Killmonger taking out a couple of cards off of the battlefield, and the Demon putting a total of 15 power into Mojo World, but the 3-card lead makes it 115. Now,
So,
turn 5.
This is where Annie's going to come into play.
Pretty safe.
Annihilus is safely going to say that the Void will be pushed over to the Cull Obsidian side. And he doesn't have enough stones to clog the lane. So that Void is going to make its way onto their side.
If we see Annie right now.
Yes.
We see Annie right now. Big House is basically lost. All of this is in the hands of Tennessee, more so in my opinion right now. And instead they opt to hold on to the Power Stone. There's your Annie, sends over the Void to the Big House. Death goes over the top. Mockingbird goes into the middle. Red Hulk tries to contest against it. It's not enough currently in Elysium, as now we sit with movement to bring over potentially that Red Hulk into the Big House to try to keep it competitive, but I don't think they were expecting that Death to also drop into the Big House. Huge advantage right now for Tennessee.
Absolutely. This is Tennessee's. If he could snap, he would snap, because he's stuck with 2 cubes, so he can't go any higher than that. But he definitely would be a snappable, because you got to put 3 cards into Mojo World to win it. You have to put 10 power, at least 10 power into Big House to tie it, Or no, not even to tie it. You need 14 power to tie it. And yeah,
That Soul Stone definitely could help, though, if they went Scar, Soul Stone.
Power Stone, Dinosaur, Blob. What's Blob got to eat? That's the question.
I think for
What
Squeaky
does
to knock
Blob
out
have?
Tennessee, it's the best possible chance. Here we go. Removes off a couple of pieces there via the LDS. Gladiator's not going to pull anything as the Scar and the Soul Stone and the Power Stone try to keep up against the Mojo World. It's not going to be enough because Thanos is going to get a buff in the hand and it's not going to help anywhere else. That's going to be enough for Tennessee to stay alive just a bit longer.
Wow. That doubling of Mockingbird helped tremendously.
Yep.
That Killmonger killing off all the rocks and killing off the stones to get out that death, to get it down in points, to get it into the big house. Another amazing move. Tennessee's could be working his way back. He is. He's definitely working his way back. He's already taken
Slowly
4
chipping
cubes
away
off
at Thanos.
Squeaky.
Stone by stone.
Pardon?
Slowly chipping
Yeah.
away at Thanos.
Stone by stone, yeah.
Oh, Wakanda's got to feel good for Squeaky.
Yes, because now he knows everything is safe from LDS and from
Killmonger, Shang-Chi.
Killmonger.
Yeah, all of it.
The only thing you wish Wakanda was the right location, because that's where the Void's going to land. If you could have had Wakanda, this is where Quake would be amazing in your hand. Quake it so you move Wakanda to the right. Make sure that the Void couldn't get destroyed. That would be an awesome play. But neither one of them have Quake that we know of. So, yeah.
There is no Quake
Hey.
gaming in this matchup here as Debris clogs up Xandar just a bit more. The Wakandan Embassy definitely helping out Tennessee too by getting lots of 2-power Mysterios.
So now
illusions out on the
Coyote
board.
makes those rocks unkillable. So now you're stuck with the rocks on your side of the board. So that's unfortunate. You have to move Jeff to get
Eventually.
another two in there. You're losing space quite quickly here, Squeaky.
With Tennessee having priority, that Mockingbird over in Xandar is temporarily safe for this turn, but long term, I don't think it's very safe because it makes it Shang-Chi-able and unprotected.
That's what I was about to say. He's going to turn Mockingbird into a 10 in a lane that can be Shang-Chi'd.
There's their Mockingbird over into Wakandan Embassy, which is going to flip into Bar Sinister, so both players will have double cards of some kind to compete against, but neither can be destroyed on Squeaky's side either.
Wow. So now you've got a Devil Dinosaur, or you've got a Hope Summers and a Power Stone. He's going for 3 Devil Dinos.
Okay. Those are going to be
Which would
11
bring
power
this-
dinos. They will be Shang-Chi-able. Sorry, no, they'll be 13 because the Reality Stone will draw a card.
And they'll also be brought down because of Scar. They'll bring Scar down by 3. So he's looking at having Scar, hopefully top decking Scar. But he's only got 1 space left. So I guess that's going to be for Red Skull. Or Red Hulk.
So on the one end, Bar Sinister, you're very vulnerable. But on the other end, if you blob based on what's left in your deck, you're guaranteed at least 15. That's much more competitive than moving over Jeff. So yeah, I like
Yes,
just go
absolutely.
instead of move the Jeff and get cheeky by going over the top in Xandar. I think this is probably the safest play. But if Tennessee's sitting on that Shang-Chi, that middle lane is an easy sacrifice. It's one card to drop in there to try to take it all. There's the blob. It's double death to go over into Bar Sinister. The revelation of those illusions means that, ladies and gentlemen, Thanos has reigned supreme here once again at the King's Clash, and Squeaky has won King's Clash number 2. So,
Congratulations. Congratulations, Squeaky. Whimsic. Whichever you want to go by, congratulations. Now, we have to find out from him whether he's going to take the double down duel. Is he going to battle me to double his prize, or is he going to just take his winnings and walk away? Which I wouldn't blame him. Being the way it is, he's had a long road. He's probably tired. He has no idea what's in store for him. So, the question is, will he take me on? He will accept the King's challenge. He is saying he will accept the King's challenge. This
alrighty.
is gonna be fun.
All right. So,
So-
the king himself, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be disconnected from the call. I am going to remove the King of Canada. Yes, it's your own tournament, but guess what? You need to go bye-bye, right? So, bye-bye. We're removing you from the conversation. So, I'm also going to be removing myself from our call here on the back end, so he cannot see me. And then bring him back later. Boom, he can no longer see me. So now, it's just me. It's just my production. Ladies and gentlemen, the King's Challenge has been issued. And we are moving into the double down duel. Right now, Whimsic has already won first place, therefore won a $25 pool right away, and decided, you know what, I'm going to double down. I'm going to take down the King of Canada, and I'm going to win $50 today instead. But if Whimsic is unable to take down the King of Canada, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to go home with nothing. And that money, that 25, is going to be put into July's pool instead. So we're moving on. We'll see what happens. We're going to take a short break, get them set up and ready to go, and we will be right back in just a brief moment. Stick around, folks. We'll see you after the break. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Double Down Duel. The winner of King's Clash 2, Whimsic, has taken the King's Challenge. The King of Canada has officially offered up to double Whimsic's winnings if they can take down the King. It's a double or nothing scenario, and we're going to take a look at King of Canada's gameplay for this matchup. So good luck to both opponents. Let's switch on over as they match up Squeaky, also known as Whimsic, versus the King of Canada. Good luck to both of you. Let's see what they have to play. King of Canada bringing in, let's see, we've got Nebula, Electro, Ravona, Jeff. It seems like a little bit of a like a goblin-y focused ramp. Like, could this be maybe like a Galactus deck? Pixie also into the mix now with Dark Dimensions for some extra surprises. Maybe a Mobius probably if there's Pixie. To me, it's one of the best 2-3 combos in the game. I always say it, if you have Pixie and Mobius in the deck and you draw them together, it's a snap condition almost every single time. So now getting a double Human Torch as Squeaky has changed their deck. We have a deck switch for the first time for the King's Clash out of Squeaky. Squeaky deciding to go a whole different direction and puts it, and there's a Sandman on the opposite side with this. Woo, this is cool. Oh, this is a unique lineup here. We were expecting to see a Thanos deck out of Squeaky. We've seen it the entire match, but now for the Double Down Duel, they have switched it up entirely and gone with Ghost Spider, Human Torch, Nico Minoru, and Sandman. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Pixie into Lake Hellas and Jeff into the Daily Bugle. He's going to have to keep up with Doctor Strange, who's moving around that big old giant Human Torch. Going to 10 power now, and the second Human Torch down for a little bit of power. Pixie hits the deck. And now they're looking to maybe lock it down with the Profex? Ooh, risky. Definitely risky. There's not a lot of power to work with, but nobody snapped yet. Nobody has snapped yet. Hoping that they play into the Dark Dimension in Lake Hellas is the call, but instead it's a Vulture. That's going to give the Daily Bugle to Squeaky no matter what. And you could YOLO the Galactus and reveal your entire hand, but in the beginning of these matches, I don't see that being very beneficial for the King of Canada. This is not the moment to try to get cheeky, considering that your opponent's already up 13 in Lake Hellas. It seems like a pretty good sacrifice location to say that I don't have to compete in here. I'm already winning in the Daily Bugle. We get a snap over from the King of Canada. Good snap by Squeaky given the scenario. Yeah, the retreat later definitely not going to do too well here, as the King of Canada has really no choice but to escape and decides to back out as they get ready to move into round number 2. So Galactus versus Move. I did not expect that. Not gonna lie. And I'm totally about it. A little bit of a Deathwave scenario in hand on the opening draw for the King of Canada. That looks promising. Nice secondary option here built into the deck with the Deathwave. I like that. You can wave the Galactus, you can Deathwave, you can Electro Ramp, and Space Throne. A relatively risky situation. But to YOLO the situation and put the Hobgoblin into Space Throne, that could feel really, really strong. Spotlight Pixie drops into the left, and the dagger makes her first appearance. Pixel Dagger at that makes her first appearance over in the right as the peak flips them all. And that Hobgoblin's value just shot all the way the wrong way. Oh. Both players are not happy, supposedly. And on turn 3, goes for the straight-up Electro play into the peak. Hoping to get some top deck luck. As Ghost Spider brings over that dagger, who adds on 6 power into her total now, thanks to the new addition of that extra bonus power from her. 6 cost Profex means that most likely did end up switching with hopefully the appropriated cost for Galactus, so we could see a cheaper Galactus maybe even get drawn. Cannonball against this move deck too is going to be really interesting, because you're going to have to get that lane lock down to work. Because if it actually does lock it down the right way, you should be good to go. As Kraven and Doctor Strange plop onto the board, take that dagger, move it on over to Hellfire Club. No power bonus getting added on, but the wave does present a Death Wave scenario back once again. Now, Profex becoming a threat on turn 5 here could make sense, as we could get ready to see probably that Sandman. And the King is thinking about locking Space Throne, assuming that they are not going to play in it this turn. This is a tough call here, because you've also got your Nebula, which you could plop into the peak if you want to on this turn. Actually, no, sorry, Electro would prevent that. And for 1 cube, without seeing a snap, the Profex chance makes sense. 1 cube risk. They both plop into it, and it's the Spider-Man 2099, unfortunately. It gets locked in. That's 2 times that it has dropped on down negatively for the King of Canada. Unfortunately, Spider-Man 2099 is going to keep that lane as a guaranteed win, and now you're looking at somehow trying to figure out a 13 power point swing, and you can't even hit that dagger over, because the dagger is going to shoot up to 12. So unfortunately, this is another retreat for the King of Canada. Kudos to Squeaky Whimsic, trying to double up their earnings, and they are 2 cubes closer to doing it. Going to round 3, Blink appears in the hand, the new season pass card. Shameless self-promotion to go check out my video on Blink on the official Marvel Snap channel. Thank you again to Second Dinner for that opportunity. That was an amazing, amazing experience. I hope to do it again relatively soon. As Nebula plops down. And Elysium with Pixie could be a lot of fun. We get a snap from the King. He likes what he sees. And it's locked in. Pixie goes ahead, shuffles up the deck, puts down the Jeff. Here's the Vulture, looking to probably get pulled via the Ghost Spider, and now everything kind of gets all Meshuggah messed up again as a 1-cost Hobgoblin drops into the King's hand. Finally, RNG has granted him some love and luck, as he's going to send a -8 Goblin over to the Valley of the Hand. He'll end up actually benefiting from the Attilan shakeup, too, because he's only sitting on 2 cards as Hobgoblin flies over into the Valley of the Hand with Dagger making her appearance. Here's the Ghost Spider pulling into that 3-card lane of Attilan, getting a 9 power increase on her, and the Iron Fist then takes Human Torch and plops that into Elysium, shooting up to 4 power, giving them a lead in 2 lanes. Reshuffle up and deal, get some extra cards down, and now you've got to figure out, do you have a way to control the board? With Dagger already having done its movements and knowing that there is a Sandman in Squeaky's deck, you've got to get ready for any potential secondary liner movement. Blinking the Jeff in its own original lane seems to be a little risky, but could pay off if they plop the Jeff in the right place. Oh, the Hobgoblin was the last card played. That means that the Hobgoblin's actually the card that's going to swap. Dagger becomes competitive then, and then what is now an -8 currently in the Valley of the Hand is going to swap out of the deck and put in the Galactus, which doesn't pop off because of the Dagger move. What could have been a really cheeky moment, unfortunately, was just nixed by the moves like Dagger. What a move by Squeaky. Taking that Dagger in a defensive line, looking at the threat of a potential Galactus. Beautiful move. King doesn't know if he has anything he can do here, which is even scarier. And he's looking to lock down? No. Ooh, the snap buys the King enough time to run away. Just buys enough time, just barely. As now Squeaky has taken down 4 cubes out of the King of Canada. We're going to take a look at the main stage number 1, bring back Whimsic, see what they have going on at the moment, and take a look at the battle from their point of view, ladies and gentlemen. Let's switch over to main stage number 1. And it looks like Whimsic's actually no longer sharing their game. My apologies, folks. We're going to go back into main stage number 2. Take a look at the King of Canada. That was my apologies. I thought we still had it up and running. Trying to get fancy here, show you all the perspectives. But, you know, technical. Here we go. Go to Blink, Professor X, and Galactus in the opening hand with a Nebula and extra card. The Iron Fist hits over that Human Torch with a Pixie, shuffling it up into the vault, going into turn number 3. As Heimdall gets switched over in White Palace. It's the first time either player has seen or used Heimdall in any capacity. And the 8 power Electro, who swapped with Death, gets drawn. Yeah, we don't think much is going to be done with that card. Death now being a 5/12. With both Professor X and Blink in the hand, means that Cannonball ended up switching its cost. There's the Cannonball, who's sitting at 2/8. Tough read, trying to factor in the Vulture, who'd be getting a little extra power. If it swings into the vault, will that death be enough? Or do they need to try to compensate for it now by using that cannonball instead and keeping the vault clean, as Squeaky comes on down with a snap, while the King of Canada is debating if his OG 5-3 Prof X is gonna be enough to lock the Vulture in Wakandan Embassy. We do know that they have Heimdall in their hand via the White Palace, so they do have the potential of loading in there. They don't load into the vault. Sandman drops into the White Palace. They're gonna lock that Vulture down, so the vault is secured. And now, unfortunately for the King of Canada, that cannonball is not anywhere close to as effective as he would have wanted it to be. There's no Jeff in hand, so it's exclusively one card on this play thanks to Sandman. And Squeaky has one hell of a task if he ends up losing this, because it would be a tie scenario. The Heimdall is going to have nothing move. King has mathematically, I don't think, any way right now to win White Palace. It's one card. That's all she wrote. And it looks to be the right call. It's the right call. Gets a retreat to happen. Backs away. And says, not today. It can't happen again. That big Sandman getting that bonus also definitely helped. Squeaky taking down the King of Canada cube by cube as we head into high stakes. With Utopia on the draw, favoring Squeaky just slightly, depending on the Pixie Shuffle. Tough scenario here from King, sitting on a 6-3 Jeff. So you know, on the one end, the benefit is that your Galactus did end up getting cheaper. On the other end, it means you can't blink it with this card in particular first. Dagger's going to get +3 power as it moves over into Asgard. And a 3/8 Hobgoblin also feels very good right now. I like Hobgoblin personally in Utopia for that potential turn 5 Galactus play. Yeah, trying to win Asgard's only going to benefit you by 1 extra card draw due to 5 in your hand, so I don't see it being too powerful, but the Cloak Craven definitely not going to get all of the bonus they were hoping for via the Hobgoblin Clog, which now they could move that Dagger just to say they did, get the Craven to ramp up a bit, then move over. 2/1 Nebula comes down on the draw. And the King has to decide if he has a way, knowing that Grand Central's automatically going to draw something and play it down. Does the Prof X make sense here? Instead, he's looking at Cannonball to move the Dagger out and give a lane lead. Sitting on some very chunky cards right now. He ends up opting for the Cannonball, take the Pixie, and moves it over into Utopia, which will ramp up that Craven as Sandman drops on down. Here's the Cannonball who hits the dagger into Grand Central. It's going to be a race for Grand Central, really, at this point, I think, folks. What does it pull? It pulls the Profex, which also has to compete against the Spider-Man 2099 in a locked location again. Now, Squeaky does have Heimdall in this deck. Heimdall was recently also buffed to a 6/9. And that Jeff can't feel very good. I think King is just going to be YOLOing into a potential Galactus play, which is going to be weaker in Asgard. Because Squeaky reveals first. Oh, that's scary if you go down that route, King. He doesn't want to. He wants to do it. He wants to try. But his double up line is on the line. Because, yes, that wins you Utopia, but it'll pull out your Galactus, which is weaker. And he walks away. He decides, instead of losing 4, let me lose 2. Which honestly is probably the right call in this case, knowing that Heimdall is a threat in this deck. We move to round 6. Miniaturized Lab comes in, which could potentially hurt Squeaky. Could potentially hurt Squeaky. And the newer, we'll call it location, Thunderbolt's Tower enters the game. Now, if there's a time for the King to get it to happen, it's right now. Bring over that Human Torch as they wave on 3. And King has been wanting to try to get this to happen all game. I think this is the moment that he says, I'm going for it. And he does. And he does. On one end, man, it would feel good to get on turn 4. On the other end, helping secure it by getting -10. Oh no, it wouldn't happen because of Starlit Citadel. It could end up being locked there through turn 6 if they're not able to come back over the top of it. Because they don't fill up on turn 5. I think this is when you Galactus. Knowing that Starlit Citadel is going to have a lockdown location in Miniaturized Lab, I think this is when you go for it. Will we kneel? It's a contestation. It's that dang Spider-Man 2099 again. Foiling 3 rounds in a row for the King. Miguel has been incredibly annoying for the King of Canada here in the high stakes rounds. Now, round 6 for the double down duel. Squeaky's got to be feeling good right now. Oh, the King is about to learn something really bad. Watch, blink. It's just gone. Miniaturized Lab. You cannot add cards. The swap doesn't work. as the king has now learned the hard way. Oh, king. Is that hobgoblin enough? No. Could cannonball. Try to hit something out over into Spider-Man 2099's lane, but in my opinion, this is a Heimdall into miniaturized lab. Slide over the 2099. You've got a lead in the Thunderbolt Tower. 1 card, guaranteed location hit for Squeaky. I think this is it. If King stays, I think this is it. Cannonball is a nice way to steal it, but it just wouldn't be enough. This move navigation with Sandman has been beautifully piloted by Whimsic Squeaky and has brought the king to his knees. He is now down to his final 2 cubes, which is all that really stands in between Squeaky from winning an additional doubled up pot here during King's Clash 2. Ooh, and the Space Throne is interesting. Little bit of luck now, finally getting the Ravona out. Wave. Wave into Blink. Electro Blink. One of the top combos right now. I think there's also no harm in having Electro go into Machine World, because they're needing to play multiple cards very often. So, safe way to get a nice advantage in this lane. They're going to undo the Space Throne, though, due to the location spell from Nico Minoru. Vulture's going to plop into the Space Throne, who's going to convert the location into Xandar, semi-neutral for both players, as Jotunheim continues to reduce down the cards in Jotunheim. Sitting with extra energy. They've got their blink. It's just a matter of where. Ooh, that death is a solid pull. Swapping out the Electro for death as Cloak drops down on turn 4, looking to move over potentially everything out of Jotunheim. And it would be a contemplation to move everything as well for the King of Canada to free up 2 lanes of congestion. Is the Cloak a red herring? Profex and Jeff going down on this turn is not going to be what you want to do, King. That will become a 0 power. Oh, no, King, no. Okay, good. Whoo. Whoo. Ooh, 1, 2, 3 cards drop down from Squeaky's side as the Profex and the Jeff go into Xandar. 6 power on the lock, but Human Torch moves nowhere as Ghost Spider gets locked underneath Xandar with Electro. So finally the Profex lands something. It lands a tie. small lead for the King of Canada right now, but a beneficial lead given the 5 power versus what we're gonna call technically a 2-point lead because of Jotunheim. The cannonball is risky, but probably worth it. Keep the tiebreaker into the mid and try to keep your final 2 cubes this way. Cannonball Cloak in Jotunheim, or a doubled up pot for Whimsic Squeaky. Is this a power Heimdall? King's not so sure. Even he doesn't feel good about it as Cannonball hits the Doctor Strange out. What is the last card? It's the Heimdall. And the power differential when all is said and done means that Squeaky is 1 step further along his journey. See, if you weren't watching, you thought it was over. But no, welcome to the King's Clash, where the journey has only just begun. The King of Canada starting his comeback. 10-2, now has 8-2 left to do in the climb. Nebula on 1, plop it into the mystery location as an Asteroid M helps to keep Nova Roma in check. Get a Jeff and 2 cards. Here's your Human Torch into Ghost Spider. Bring it on down. Double up that Human Torch. Bring it to 4. Small advantage now. Favor of Squeaky. As both players take immediate response to the Abbey, needing exactly 2 cards there, and both of them end up with an extra card draw. So both players are in probably top positioned scenario right now. They have 6 cards, ramping out the things that they wanted to ramp out early. And looking at what's left in the deck, Cannonball, Professor X, you do have your potential of Electro Blink, but you also have your potential of a turn 4 Hobgoblin. As Doctor Strange doubles up that Human Torch into the center lane, going from 4 to 8. Hobgoblin left. Because you got to be thinking they're looking at one more move. Because you got the cloak. Doctor Strange has already gone down. So they're looking at their sides more than their mid. There's the side play. There's your cloak as the Hobgoblin now shoots over to Asteroid M. And now Squeaky has to decide, where does the Hobgoblin go? Is it worth it to cannonball out one of those cards, assuming it's not going to hit the Human Torch? And honestly, I think you do. I think you capitalize. There's no Craven on the board. So moving here, if you have the option to move or not to move, it's more beneficial to move. Let the Human Torch move over into Cloak. And try to keep up with it, because that Human Torch moving into Cloak, if it moves with the Hobgoblin, it negates, essentially, that Hobgoblin entirely. Because it would go at 8 versus the -8. So it's a wash. Which means Asteroid M frees up. We very much so expect to see Vulture drop down also into the Abbey. And blinking the Ravona, blinking the Hobgoblin, as it does get dragged over, is the play again. There's your Spider-Man 2099. Blink's going to take that Hobgoblin right back and replace it with a Death. And they redraw Hobgoblin again. So Heimdall gives no threat to Asteroid M right now. It's just a power threat that they need to keep up with. There's no Iron Fist scenario here. And Squeaky has the priority, which I think is probably the biggest player. There's no potential movement for the Human Torch, I don't believe. Except for Cannonball just smacking it out. If Cannonball smacks the Human Torch over, this could be it. This is incredibly risky. Even the King knows it, but he's down to his final 2 cubes. He's got to go for something. He locks it in. 3 cards drop on Squeaky's side. First starting off with the Kraven, followed by Iron Fist, followed by Vulture, who ramps up the Kraven, and then is going to ramp back into Asteroid M, getting another 6 power that way. Cannonball's going to smack out into the center lane. Hits the Human Torch into the mid by some miraculous nature. The King getting the peasant's luck and lands the 1 in 3 and is still alive. 2 games down, 3 games to go for the comeback potential on the King of Canada. Oh boy. And a Cloggy Shadowland opens us up in the first location. Wave into the Kiln to get out an early death wave prior. Nice, easy way to secure the Kiln. Even if Dagger does do the slide over via, let's say, a Ghost Spider with 2 cards in there, it's not going to be enough. It is turn 4. Profex is an interesting call here. Canada does have Prio, so I think he's expecting to try to remove that specific competition, because it also allows for a double Kamar-Taj play to be viable. It's Cloak and Nico who has the move spell. So nothing's going to move in, and you've got to hope you draw your Jeff. Once again, Canada has Prio, though, unfortunately. So I think the only play here is Hobgoblin. Oh, no, King. Oh, no, King. Don't do it. No! The King has turned into the Jester as he sends his own Hobgoblin back to him Camartage, oh king. No. No. Oh. It could not have gone better for the king. The Nico move moved Spider-Man 2099 and undid the mistake that the King of Canada had. But what I don't think King of Canada has realized is that if he moves over Spider-Man 2099 and Kraven, I think it's over. Here's the Heimdall. It's 9 versus 8. 13 makes it an 8-10 line. And ladies and gentlemen, via the wildest final round of crazy happenings and circumstances, the King of Canada has been taken down by Whimsic Squeaky. And the double down duel has been completed. The King of Canada put out the challenge to Squeaky, and man, was that an unpredictable in every possible way final round. Absolutely insane. We're gonna bring the King of Canada back on here for the salutation of the King's Clash. All right. Boom. King, welcome back on in, sir. Welcome back on in. Oh.
Hello. I had to put my headset back on.
You had me screaming with that hobgoblin at the end, man.
I know.
I'm pretty sure you probably were too.
I wasn't reading my locations properly.
Ugh.
As soon as I put it down and hit OK, I'm like, oh crap! No, it's just gonna come back. It's gonna come back.
Ugh. And then you were saved by 2099.
Exactly. I went up and I liked him for it. I said, thank you so very much for killing that off.
But man, then the final play, bump them both on out. Ends up being just a tiebreaker scenario, begging for Jeff to get the break over in the left and kill. It wasn't going the way you needed it to towards the very end. And the
last play I should have made, knowing Heimdall was going to shoot stuff over to the middle, I should have put my cannonball on the left, knocked it back into the center, but that still would have been 18 power for him, and he would have still beat me in tiebreaker. So
it was
no matter what.
Wild is an understatement. It was a wild final couple of rounds there. You started to have the comeback, but unfortunately for you, but kudos to Whimsic Squeaky, they have successfully completed the King's Challenge. They have won the double down duel, and they are going home today with $50, courtesy of both the King of Canada as well as Snap Judgments. Thank you so much once again for sponsoring and being a part of this event, Snap Judgments. We greatly appreciate you. King, what do you have to say about today's event, good sir?
Oh, I had a blast. I am very happy with the turnout. I am very happy that my challenge was accepted. Not so happy that I lost the challenge, but we will see what happens next time. We know what's going to happen now. It will be an open challenge from me to the winner every turn, and you never know. The pot could get bigger. I might get lucky, and your chances of an extra couple dollars can be doubled. But I want to say thank you very much to everybody for competing here today. Guest, thank you very much for hosting and commentating and casting this tournament for us. You are the voice of Marvel Snap, in my opinion, and I very much appreciate having you here for the King's Clash. I appreciate all the work that the mods have done. I know they thought they didn't do a good job, but they did well enough to keep us rolling. They did a good job. So we had a fantastic time. I cannot wait till July to see what we're going to do next. And until then, remember to keep on snapping and be excellent to each other.
You said it best, good sir. Be excellent to each other. Thank you so much for being a part of today's broadcast for King's Clash 2. Congratulations once again to... as I'm choking in the middle of it, congratulations once again to Whimsic Squeaky. Greatly appreciate all of your time and effort, and congratulations on going home with a $50 prize pool today. For those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as It's Guest Gaming. I'm your co-host, along the host and founder of the King's Clash, the King of Canada. Thank you all so much for being here today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers, everybody.
Happy Mother's Day!